You've been lied to about a calm life. They told you it comes when everything is perfect, when the bills are paid, when everyone approves of you, when you finally have all the answers. But if that were true, why do people who seem to have it all still feel restless inside? Why do you still wake up some mornings with a racing mind, heavy with worries, before the day has even begun? The truth is, a calm life doesn't appear when the world stops. Demanding it begins when you choose how to meet the world as it is, and Buddhist wisdom holds the key. For thousands of years, monks, teachers, and seekers discovered that calm isn't a prize at the end of struggle, it's a practice, a way of speaking to yourself each morning before the noise of the day takes over. Every sunrise gives you two choices: wake up and be carried away by chaos, or wake up and plant seeds of peace that shape your entire day. Just 5 simple reminders, 5 truths whispered to yourself, can shift you from tension to ease, from anxiety to balance. They don't require special rituals or mountain retreats. They are quiet anchors, available to anyone, anywhere. And as you begin to use them, something inside you will settle. Your breath will slow, your mind will clear, and you'll feel what it means to live calmly, even in a world that never stops moving. This isn't just another morning habit. It's a path, a daily reset, a chance to live lighter, clearer, more at peace. So ask yourself, are you ready to wake up not just from sleep, but into a calm life? When the introduction ends, a silence always lingers. That space right before the lesson begins is where curiosity stirs. It's where the heart leans forward, waiting for the first drop of wisdom to fall. You may already feel it, the gentle pull, the whisper that there's more to life than rushing through the hours. That whisper is not outside you. It is already inside your own body, subtle yet steady, waiting for you to notice. And the key to hearing it starts with something so simple, so close, that most people overlook it every single morning. The first breath, that first inhale, taken without effort the moment you wake, is more than just air entering your lungs. It is life itself greeting you once again. A quiet teacher that has been there since the moment you were born, continuing faithfully through every joy and sorrow, but because it happens on its own, you've forgotten its power. The mind races toward tasks, worries, memories, while the breath waits patiently, asking nothing, offering everything. To reclaim your calm life, you must learn to meet that first breath with awareness. When you notice it, really notice it, something shifts inside. The nervous system, often wired to brace for the day, softens, the heart steadies, the mind slows its chase. This is not a mystical idea, it is biology. When you bring attention to your breathing, the parasympathetic nervous system is activated. This system is like the body's natural brake pedal, slowing down the stress response, signaling safety. A single conscious breath at dawn can mark the difference between carrying tension all day or moving through life with ease. There is a hidden power in meeting the morning, not with alarms or demands, but with stillness. You may feel the weight of unfinished conversations, regrets, or tasks pressing against you the moment your eyes open. The body may even react with tightness in the chest or heaviness in the shoulders. But the first breath is always larger than those shadows. It clears a small space before thoughts take over, a space where gratitude can grow. When you let your awareness settle on that inhale and exhale, you acknowledge, I am alive. I woke up. Thousands of others did not. This moment is a gift. From a Buddhist lens, this recognition is no small thing. The teachings remind us that human life is precious and fleeting. Every new day is a rare opportunity, not a guarantee. By anchoring yourself to the breath first thing in the morning, you step into that truth. You stop taking your existence for granted and instead meet it with reverence. What could be more sacred than that? This practice does not require silence, incense, or ritual. It requires only presence. As you wake, before touching your phone, before replaying yesterday, pause. Place one hand gently on your chest or stomach. Feel the movement of air, the rise and fall. Stay there for 3 breaths, or 5, or as long as you can before the tide of the day pulls you forward. This is your first act of self-respect, a declaration that your calm life begins with awareness, not with chaos. The first breath also teaches something deeper, the art of letting go. Every inhale carries in the freshness of the new day. Every exhale releases what no longer belongs. This rhythm is constant, unstoppable, and wise. By simply watching it, you learn the natural cycle of holding on and releasing. How many of yesterday's worries are still clinging to you? How many burdens are heavy because you never exhaled them? The breath shows you that release is not something you force. It happens naturally when you trust the process. Modern science echoes what the Buddha taught long ago. Breathwork has been shown to regulate cortisol, lower blood pressure, and even reshape the neural pathways of the brain. Studies in mindfulness-based stress reduction reveal that people who start their day with intentional breathing report greater focus, less reactivity, and a stronger sense of well-being. These are not luxuries. They are the foundation for living calmly in a restless world. What makes the first breath so unique is its timing. It arrives before anything else, before emails, before traffic, before conversations. If you catch it then, you anchor the entire day in stability. It's like placing the first stone of a foundation. If it is strong and steady, everything built upon it is secure. If it is ignored, the day builds on shaky ground. Gratitude naturally follows awareness. Not the forced kind, but the kind that rises like dawn. As the air fills your lungs, you may notice warmth in your body, the softness of the bed, the simple fact that you have another chance to live. Gratitude is not about ignoring pain or pretending life is perfect. It is about honoring what is already here. That shift transforms the ordinary act of breathing into a sacred ritual, invisible to the outside world but powerful enough to alter your inner world. The first breath is also an invitation to humility. You do not control its arrival. You did not will it to come this morning. Life gave it to you freely. Every breath that follows will be given the same way, until the last one. Remembering this keeps pride and entitlement at bay. It teaches you that you are not the master of life, but a participant in it. That awareness softens the edges of anger, frustration, and greed. There is also a subtle joy in realizing that this teacher never abandons you. No matter how chaotic your mind, no matter how heavy your heart, the breath stays. It waits in the background, steady and loyal. By choosing to notice it upon waking, you remind yourself that you are never without support. In Buddhism, this is interdependence, the truth that we are sustained by forces beyond our control, from air to sunlight to the kindness of others. The first breath embodies that, teaching in a way words cannot. As you begin to practice this daily, you may notice a shift in the quality of your mornings. Where once there was immediate restlessness, now there is a pause. Where once the mind rushed ahead, now it lingers in the present. This pause does not erase the challenges of the day, but it changes your posture toward them. Instead of running into life with tension, you walk into it with balance. Instead of being thrown by the first difficulty, you are grounded in something deeper than circumstance. Over time, this practice becomes more than a morning ritual. It becomes a way of living. You begin to see every breath as a reminder. Presence is available, calm is available, life is available. You begin to carry that awareness into conversations, into work, into moments of stress. The breath you met at dawn becomes the breath that steadies you in the middle of the storm. This is how Buddhist wisdom works, not by adding layers of complexity, but by revealing the profound in the simple. The first breath is not glamorous. It does not demand recognition. Yet within it is the entire path: awareness, gratitude, release, humility, presence. When you learn to greet it with open attention, you step into alignment with life itself. So tomorrow morning, when your eyes open, resist the pull of hurry. Do not reach for your phone. Do not replay the weight of yesterday. Instead, meet your oldest, quietest teacher. Feel the air move in, feel it move out. Let that be your first thought, your first act, your first anchor. In that moment, you will discover that calm is not something you must chase, it is something already breathing within you. The breath settles, the mind softens, and in that stillness a question rises. If this moment is enough, why does the heart still crave more? You have air in your lungs, a body that carries you, and the gift of another day. Yet almost as soon as calm touches you, a restlessness appears. The thought of what you lack, what you should be, what you must still chase. This is the hidden current pulling so many away from peace, the belief that life is never quite enough as it is. The words, "I have enough," carry a quiet power. They are not about resignation or laziness. They are a declaration of freedom in a world that constantly whispers you are incomplete. Each advertisement, each comparison, each voice in your head repeats the same message: you need more. More money, more recognition, more possessions, more certainty, more love. And yet, the more you acquire, the more the hunger grows. Desire multiplies like fire fed by dry wood. Buddhist wisdom teaches that to step out of this endless cycle, you do not need more, you need to see what you already hold. Contentment, known as santuti in the teachings, is one of the rarest practices. Not because it is difficult, but because it requires the courage to stop running. To tell yourself each morning, "I have enough," is to disarm the craving that drains your spirit. It is to turn away from the illusion that happiness hides somewhere in the future. The power of this practice lies not in denying your dreams, but in removing the chains of dissatisfaction that keep you blind to the fullness of now. When you rise and whisper those words, you teach the mind to loosen its grip. The nervous system, so often wound tight with striving, eases. The body relaxes into the truth that survival does not depend on endless accumulation. You begin to notice the overlooked abundance around you, the bed that held you through the night, the roof shielding you, the warmth of water, the simple presence of breath. These are not small gifts, they are treasures that many will never know. Saying, "I have enough," transforms them from background details into sources of gratitude. The cycle of desire has been studied for centuries. The Buddha described it as tanha, thirst, a constant grasping that promises satisfaction but delivers suffering. Modern psychology echoes this truth in what is called the hedonic treadmill, the tendency of humans to quickly adapt to gains and return to a baseline of wanting more. You get the promotion, and almost instantly, the glow fades. You buy the new device, and within weeks, it becomes ordinary. The treadmill keeps moving, and you run faster, but peace never arrives. Declaring, "I have enough," is stepping off that treadmill. It is realizing that joy is not found by speeding up, but by stopping altogether. This practice is not about denying ambition or rejecting improvement. Growth and creativity are natural parts of life, but there is a difference between acting from fullness and acting from lack. When you believe you are already enough, every achievement becomes an expression of joy, not a desperate attempt to fill a hole. Work becomes play, goals become paths of discovery, relationships become exchanges of love rather than bargains for worth. The foundation of enoughness changes the flavor of everything you do. On a practical level, these words reshape the brain. Neuroscience shows that repeated thoughts carve pathways in the mind. If the constant refrain is "not enough," the mind becomes wired for scarcity, scanning for what is missing, never satisfied. But if you train it with "I have enough," the brain shifts toward appreciation, rewiring itself for contentment. Over time, this becomes not just a morning affirmation, but a deep-seated truth. The effect reaches beyond the individual. Dissatisfaction fuels much of the world's suffering, greed, exploitation, competition that forgets compassion. When one person practices enoughness, it creates a ripple. The hunger for more begins to soften. You consume less, demand less, harm less. Your presence itself becomes gentler, more generous, because you are no longer living from lack. To wake each morning and affirm enoughness is therefore not only personal medicine, but collective healing. Buddhist stories illustrate this wisdom clearly. Monks and nuns often live with few possessions, robes, a bowl, a place to sleep, yet their faces shine with peace. Not because they are deprived, but because they understand sufficiency. To own little and still feel abundant is a radical act in a culture built on consumerism. But this is not only for monks. Even in ordinary life, you can step into that freedom. The simple breakfast on your table, the voice of someone you love, the stability of the ground beneath you, these are more than enough. When you train your heart to see, this craving begins to lose its hold. There is also a subtle psychological release. Much of human suffering comes from comparison. Looking at others, you measure yourself and find yourself lacking. But "I have enough" breaks that chain. It tells you your life does not need to mirror anyone else's to be whole. Contentment dissolves envy because it roots you in your own soil. You stop reaching into someone else's garden and finally water your own. The practice is deceptively simple. Upon waking, after meeting the breath, speak the words inwardly or aloud. "I have enough." Do not analyze or argue. Let the words rest in the body. Notice how they feel. At first, the mind may resist. It may bring a list of lacks, debts, unfinished goals. That is natural. Stay with the words anyway. Over time, the resistance softens. A shift happens. Not everything is perfect, but everything is sufficient for this moment. Living this way does not make life stagnant. Paradoxically, it opens space for genuine growth. When you no longer chase from lack, you act from freedom. Decisions are clearer, less clouded by desperation. Creativity flows more easily when you are not fixated on proving yourself. Relationships deepen when you no longer seek validation through them. Enoughness becomes the soil from which true flourishing grows. History shows countless examples of this principle. Philosophers, poets, sages across cultures spoke of sufficiency as the heart of wisdom. Stoics called it contentment with what nature provides. Buddhists call it freedom from craving. Even modern minimalists rediscover the same truth. More is not better, enough is better. The words change, but the wisdom remains the same. When you align with this teaching, you begin to see that craving is endless, but contentment is immediate. Craving promises happiness later, contentment delivers peace now. Each morning that you affirm enoughness, you reinforce this truth, protecting your mind from the flood of messages that tell you otherwise. To live with enough is to reclaim your calm life. It does not mean you will never feel desire again. Desire is human. It means you recognize desire as passing, not a master. You hold it lightly, let it come and go, without letting it dictate your worth. In this way, you step into the heart of Buddhist practice, where liberation is not in adding more, but in needing less. So when the morning arrives and the first breath steadies you, let these words follow closely. I have enough. Not tomorrow, not someday now. And in that simple truth, you will discover that the calm life you have been searching for was always within reach, hidden beneath the noise of wanting. When the heart rests in the truth of enoughness, a new doorway opens. Yet even with this recognition, many find themselves still bound to what came before. Words spoken in anger, mistakes made in haste, decisions that did not unfold as hoped all linger like shadows. These memories creep into the present, darkening the freshness of the new day before it has even begun. No amount of possessions or affirmations can free you if yesterday's weight still clings to your chest. To step fully into a calm life, there must be a practice of release at dawn. Letting go is not forgetting. It is not pretending nothing happened. It is the art of meeting the residue of the past and loosening its hold so that what belongs to yesterday does not contaminate today. Without this act, the mind becomes a cluttered room, each regret another piece of furniture blocking the space where peace should live. The early hours are the perfect time to clear it. Morning light carries a silent invitation. Begin again. But the invitation cannot be accepted while carrying bags from the past. One of the simplest methods is recognition. When you wake, notice the thoughts that rush in. They often echo unfinished arguments, disappointments, or self-criticism. Instead of fighting them, label them gently: memory, regret, fear. This labeling interrupts identification. The thought is not you, it is a passing imprint. Neuroscience calls this cognitive diffusion, the ability to separate from thoughts instead of drowning in them. By naming them, you loosen their grip and create space to choose differently. Another method is the practice of forgiveness, not in grand gestures, but in small internal acknowledgements. At dawn, repeat silently, I release myself from yesterday's mistakes. This does not erase accountability. It acknowledges that clinging to errors does not repair them. It only poisons the new day. Forgiveness is not approval, it is freedom. It frees energy that can now be directed toward living wisely today. Buddhism often frames this as compassion metta, directed inward first, then outward. By forgiving yourself, you soften the soil of the heart so that kindness can grow. Physical rituals can deepen this release. As you wake, take a few minutes to sit upright, place your hands on your knees, and exhale deeply, imagining the residue of yesterday leaving your body with the breath. The body holds memory in muscles and tension. A conscious exhale signals release both mentally and physically. Even stretching or washing your face with awareness can serve as symbolic gestures of renewal. Rituals create anchors that remind the body and mind, a new chapter begins now. Writing is another practical tool. Keep a small notebook by your bed. Each morning, before diving into the day, write down what lingers from yesterday: arguments, regrets, anxieties. Close the notebook once written. This act tells the mind, these belong to the page, not to today. Research on expressive writing shows that offloading thoughts reduces rumination and stress. In Buddhist practice, this mirrors confession and letting go, a way to externalize burdens so they no longer sit silently in the mind. Silence itself can also be medicine. Many rush into the day with noise, news, music, notifications. This only gives yesterday's unresolved energy more fuel. Instead, begin with 5 minutes of silence. Sit, breathe, let the residue of the past settle. In silence, thoughts surface and dissolve naturally, like sediment sinking in clear water. Without silence, the water is constantly stirred, never clear. Gratitude, when directed toward lessons, also aids release. At dawn, reflect, what did yesterday teach me? Even in mistakes, there is wisdom. Maybe an argument revealed a hidden insecurity. Maybe a failure showed an area for growth. By extracting the lesson, you transform the burden into fuel. The past no longer chains you because it has been transmuted into knowledge. This aligns with the Buddhist principle of right view, seeing experiences not as punishments, but as opportunities for awakening. There is also the practice of perspective. Each morning, remind yourself of impermanence. Whatever anger or regret you carry, it is already fading, already dissolving. In the scale of life, most of yesterday's troubles are small. To place them in perspective is to weaken their hold. Tell yourself, this is already gone. Like smoke after fire, the event has passed. Only the memory lingers. Why burn again what is already ashes? For relationships, releasing shadows may require active compassion. If someone wronged you, do not feed the story upon waking. Instead, whisper, may they find peace. This shifts the energy from resentment to goodwill. It does not justify harm, but it prevents you from carrying the poison into the new day. Modern psychology calls this compassion meditation. Research shows it reduces anger and increases emotional resilience. In Buddhist terms, it is a practical expression of loving kindness, dissolving hostility before it hardens. Practical daily discipline can support release. Limit the habit of replaying conversations in your mind. When the replay begins, redirect attention to the breath or to physical sensations. Anchor in what is present, the warmth of the blanket, the rhythm of breathing. Each redirection trains the mind away from rumination. Over time, this becomes automatic. The past loses its power to hijack the present. There is also the wisdom of non-attachment. The Buddha often taught that clinging creates suffering, not the events themselves. Each morning reflect, what am I clinging to from yesterday? A word, a look, a missed chance. Ask if clinging helps or harms. Release is not forced forgetting, but conscious loosening of grip. You open your fist and let the stone drop, realizing it was only weighing you down. Morning light itself can be used as practice. Step outside or look through a window. Notice how the world renews each day. Birds do not carry yesterday's song. The sky does not hold yesterday's clouds. Nature models release perfectly. By attuning yourself to this rhythm, you align with reality rather than resisting it. Each sunrise is proof. The world begins again, and so can you. Meditation techniques can deepen this habit. A simple visualization. As you inhale, picture fresh light entering your body. As you exhale, see yesterday's shadows dissolving into space. Do this for a few minutes. Visualization engages the mind, giving form to release. And over time, the body associates morning breath with cleansing. This creates a conditioned response where dawn itself signals freedom. Even small acts of kindness toward yourself are forms of release. Make the bed gently, prepare tea slowly, walk with awareness. Each small action done with presence reinforces the truth that you are not chained to yesterday's turbulence. The body learns new rhythms and the mind follows. Release also requires courage. Many cling to regrets because they fear losing identity. Who am I if I let go of this mistake, this story, this wound? But courage lies in stepping into the unknown of a lighter self. By releasing, you risk emptiness, but in that emptiness, peace grows. The morning is the perfect moment for this risk, because the world itself is reborn. When practiced consistently, releasing shadows at dawn becomes second nature. You begin to wake not with heaviness but with lightness, not with chains but with wings. The past no longer stalks you into the present. Each day is met as new, not as a repetition of old pains. This is liberation in daily life, not a distant goal, but a practical habit. woven into the fabric of each morning. And so the path continues. The breath steadies, the heart whispers enough, and the shadows of yesterday dissolve with the rising Sunday. From here, the mind is ready for the next teaching, to embrace impermanence not as a threat, but as the quiet strength that makes a calm life possible. When the weight of yesterday dissolves, the heart becomes lighter, yet another truth quietly waits to be remembered. Even with forgiveness, even with release, the mind still clings to certainty. It wants comfort to last forever and pain to disappear instantly. But life refuses both requests. It moves like water, never still, never fixed. To meet life calmly, you must carry a mantra that softens the grip of both joy and sorrow. This too will change. These 4 words are not a warning, they are a doorway into resilience. They teach that no state is permanent, no feeling eternal, no success or failure final. The moment you open your eyes, life is already shifting. Cells are renewing, the body is aging, thoughts are passing. To deny impermanence is to fight reality itself. To accept it is to rest in the flow of what is real. Anxiety grows when the mind tries to freeze time. Peace comes when you release that effort and align with the movement of change. Internalizing impermanence each morning reshapes your relationship with both hardship and pleasure. When faced with difficulty, the mantra offers comfort. Fear loses its sharpness when you remind yourself that no storm lasts forever. Even the deepest grief moves, even the hardest moment bends to time. Science confirms this. Emotional intensity follows a natural curve. It rises, peaks, and fades. Holding on to "this too will change" allows you to ride the wave without drowning in it. Pleasure also transforms under this light. Instead of clinging desperately to joy, you savor it more fully, knowing it will pass. The morning sun on your face, laughter at breakfast, the warmth of tea, all are fleeting. But fleeting does not mean meaningless. On the contrary, impermanence makes them precious. A flower is beautiful not because it lasts, but because it blooms briefly. To know this is to treasure without clinging, to love without fear of loss. Buddhist teachings describe impermanence as anicca, one of the 3 marks of existence. Everything that arises will pass away. To resist this truth is to suffer. Yet when you meet it with awareness, suffering softens. At dawn, whispering, "This too will change," plants resilience in the mind. It prepares you for the day's unpredictability. Traffic jams, arguments, missed opportunities, they no longer feel like permanent prisons but temporary weather. You learn to stand in the storm without losing faith in clear skies. Practical methods anchor this mantra. One practice is reflection on natural cycles. Notice the morning light as different from yesterday's, the air slightly cooler or warmer, the body feeling stronger or weaker. These subtle shifts remind you that change is constant. Another method is journaling daily about one thing that has already changed relationships, moods, circumstances. By recording these transitions, you train the mind to trust impermanence instead of fearing it. Breath awareness also reinforces the mantra. Each inhale arises, stays for a moment, and passes. Each exhale follows the same pattern. The body itself is a teacher of impermanence, showing you change thousands of times a day. By connecting with this rhythm upon waking, you embody the teaching instead of just repeating it. Neuroscience supports this wisdom. Studies on neuroplasticity reveal that the brain is constantly reshaping itself. Thoughts and emotions are not fixed traits but patterns that can shift with awareness. By telling yourself, "This too will change," you remind the mind of its own adaptability. This rewires anxiety into resilience, teaching the brain to expect transition rather than cling to permanence. Impermanence also brings humility. Success can tempt the mind into arrogance, believing triumph will last forever. But the mantra grounds you. It reminds you that fortune shifts, titles fade, beauty changes. This humility softens the ego and keeps relationships healthy. When you know that even admiration will pass, you treat it gently rather than grasping it. At the same time, impermanence heals despair. Knowing that sadness shifts keeps you from believing it defines you. A broken heart feels endless, but the mantra whispers, "Not forever." History is filled with survivors who endured unthinkable pain, yet time carried them through. To awaken each morning with these words is to align yourself with countless others who found strength in the truth of change. This practice extends beyond the self. When you internalize impermanence, compassion naturally deepens. You recognize that others too are caught in cycles of gain and loss, joy and grief. Their anger may pass, their suffering will shift, their mistakes will fade. This view prevents harsh judgment. It allows you to see people not as fixed identities but as beings in transition. Even mundane frustrations soften under impermanence. A spilled cup, a late train, a rude comment all shrink when placed in the frame of, "This too will change." You realize that annoyance is temporary, not a verdict on your day. By repeating the mantra, you reclaim perspective and keep your calm life intact. Rituals can help anchor this truth. At dawn, before leaving your bed, press your hands together, repeat the phrase softly. Carry it into your morning walk or while preparing tea. Let it echo through small actions until it becomes second nature. Over time, the words stop being an intellectual idea and become lived wisdom. You begin to feel impermanence not as threat but as rhythm, like the tide or the turning of seasons. Impermanence also invites you to live with urgency, not panic. If all passes, then this moment matters, not in a fearful way, but in a meaningful one. You no longer postpone love, gratitude, or courage because you know opportunities vanish. Each morning, remind yourself, this day will change into night, this chance may never return. Such awareness sharpens the value of now. This truth does not strip life of joy, it amplifies it. Knowing the smile of a friend will one day be a memory makes it shine brighter today. Understanding that health will shift makes you treat the body with care. Realizing that even your breath is borrowed makes each inhale sacred. Far from being bleak, impermanence makes life more vivid, more tender. The teaching also dismantles fear of death. Each morning you practice with small changes, the fading of dreams, the shift of moods, the passing of hours. This prepares the mind to meet the final change with less resistance. Death is not separate from life, it is the completion of impermanence. By whispering, "This too will change," you train yourself to greet even that transition with calm. Resilience grows from this soil. The person who resists change breaks easily when it comes. The person who accepts change bends, adapts, survives. By repeating the mantra daily, you condition your mind to bend rather than break. Resilience is not toughness, it is flexibility. Like bamboo, you stay rooted while moving with the wind. Practical daily examples show its power. When success comes, you hold it lightly, knowing it will shift. When failure strikes, you bear it patiently, knowing it will pass. When joy floods in, you savor deeply without clutching. When grief arrives, you allow tears without despair. The mantra equips you for all weather, making you steady in a world that never stops changing. The beauty of this practice is its simplicity. 4 words, spoken each morning, can reframe your entire relationship with life. They do not erase difficulty, but they strip it of permanence. They do not dissolve joy, but they make it brighter. Over time, they weave into your consciousness, turning fear into acceptance, restlessness into presence. So as the sun rises and the shadows of yesterday have been released, carry this mantra with you. This too will change. Say it softly, breathe it deeply, let it echo through your day. In those words lies the heart of resilience, the calm acceptance that makes peace possible in a world that never stays the same. When the mantra of impermanence settles in the heart, a new kind of awareness arises. If everything changes, then waking itself is not guaranteed. The moment your eyes open is not ordinary, it is a rare gift. While you stir from sleep, countless others do not. Their stories ended in the night, while yours continues. To treat this as routine is to overlook one of the greatest truths of all. Life is not promised. Each morning is a silent offering, one that carries both fragility and freedom. The recognition that you woke today while thousands did not is not meant to create fear, it is meant to ignite presence. To realize you have been given one more sunrise is to be reminded that your life is not disposable. When the mind falls into complaint or dullness, this awareness cuts through like a bell. You are alive, breathing, standing at the edge of possibility. That fact alone is extraordinary, even if nothing else in the day goes as planned. This awareness brings urgency, but not the restless kind. It brings a gentle urgency, the kind that pushes you to live vividly rather than wastefully. Instead of drifting through the hours as though they are infinite, you begin to treat them as precious. Small acts, drinking water, stepping outside, hearing a bird become infused with meaning, because you know that these experiences, though simple, are denied to those who did not wake. Their absence deepens your appreciation for presence. Buddhism calls this reflection on death maranasati, mindfulness of mortality. Far from being morbid, it is a pathway to gratitude and clarity. By remembering that life can end at any moment, attachment softens, priorities sharpen, and joy becomes sharper. Monastics are often encouraged to meditate on death daily, not to become heavy-hearted, but to avoid wasting time on trivial pursuits. When you remind yourself each morning that waking itself is a gift, you begin to live with the wisdom of not postponing what matters. This practice also clears away the illusion of entitlement. Many believe tomorrow is certain, that life owes them decades. But the truth is harsher and kinder at the same time. Nothing is owed, everything is borrowed. To live as though every morning is guaranteed breeds laziness of the heart. To know it is not guaranteed creates reverence. You bow inwardly to the day, grateful to have been chosen again, even if just for this sunrise. Practical reflection can deepen this understanding. As you wake, pause before rising and silently acknowledge, "Today I woke, others did not." Let this not create dread but humility. Feel the weight of those unfulfilled breaths and allow it to guide you into presence. Each sip of tea, each step across the floor becomes a way of honoring the chance you still have. Living with this awareness also transforms relationships. Words of love are spoken more freely because you understand they may not have another chance. Anger is softened because holding it seems foolish in light of mortality. Petty resentments lose their grip, replaced by a deeper urge to connect sincerely. Awareness of death is not about loss, it is about love sharpened by impermanence. There is also liberation in this truth. Much anxiety comes from over-planning, from believing the future is a guarantee to be secured. When you remember that waking is itself a gift, the pressure to control every outcome loosens. You stop living in the shadow of tomorrow and begin to inhabit today more fully. This shift from future obsession to present appreciation is at the core of a calm life. History is full of reminders of sudden endings. The young and healthy, the old and weary, the powerful and the ordinary all pass when their time arrives. To deny this is to live in illusion. To accept it is to live in alignment with reality. Each morning you are spared is an act of fortune beyond your control. Gratitude for this fortune naturally flows when you pause to acknowledge it. Even small frustrations shrink under this reflection. If you woke today while others did not, How heavy is a traffic jam? How serious is a delayed email? Perspective sharpens when mortality is remembered. You see clearly what deserves your energy and what does not. The mind becomes more disciplined, less scattered, because it is guided by the awareness that time is finite. From a spiritual view, this recognition also brings compassion. Knowing that thousands did not wake deepens empathy for those who lost loved ones that morning. It connects you to the vast web of humanity, reminding you that life is both fragile and shared. Instead of isolating you, awareness of death unites you with others. It teaches that to be alive today is not only a gift for yourself, but also an opportunity to serve, to uplift, to contribute. Practical exercises can help cultivate this awareness. One method is keeping a small stone or bead by your bed. Each morning, hold it and remind yourself, I woke today. Others did not. May I honor this day. This tactile ritual anchors the thought, making it less abstract and more embodied. Another practice is writing down 3 ways you will live vividly today: acts of kindness, moments of joy, or meaningful work. By setting intention through the lens of mortality, you ensure the day is not wasted in trivialities. Science, too, supports the value of mortality reflection. Studies show that when people are reminded of death in healthy, mindful ways, they often report increased gratitude, stronger relationships, and greater clarity of values. This aligns with Buddhist teaching, showing that awareness of death does not depress but awakens. It pushes people toward living with authenticity. Living vividly does not mean chasing extremes. It means engaging fully with ordinary life, eating with attention, listening with care, walking with awareness. These acts become profound when you realize they could have been denied. A calm life is not about dramatic adventures, but about steady presence. Mortality awareness fuels this by sharpening focus on what is here, not what is imagined. This truth also nurtures resilience. When challenges arise, remembering that life itself is a gift prevents despair from consuming you. Even in pain, the fact of waking is a foundation of strength. You see that as long as breath continues, possibility remains. This recognition empowers you to keep moving, to keep creating, to keep loving, even when circumstances are hard. For those who struggle with fear of death, this practice offers another gift: familiarity. By reflecting on mortality daily, the fear softens. Death becomes less of a monster hiding in the dark and more of a reality you are learning to befriend. Instead of resisting, you grow comfortable with its presence, allowing you to live with less fear and more openness. In the Buddhist texts, it is said that to remember death is to remember life. They are not opposites but mirrors. One gives meaning to the other. When you wake and acknowledge this truth, you join a lineage of countless practitioners who used mortality as a compass for living wisely. The silent gift of waking is not flashy. It is not celebrated by crowds, yet it is more valuable than any external achievement. Each day you wake is another chance to love, to learn, to grow, to contribute. To forget this is to squander what is most precious. To remember it is to live fully, even in the simplest moments. So as you rise tomorrow, let your first thought not be complaint, but gratitude for the sheer fact of being alive. Whisper inwardly, I woke today. Others did not. Let me live well. In that moment, you will feel the radical truth that life itself is the greatest gift, and with it, the invitation to live vividly, gently, and fully present. When the quiet truth of waking settles into gratitude, another challenge quickly appears. Though life itself feels like a gift, many still look in the mirror and feel unworthy of it. The eyes stare back, carrying years of judgment, disappointment, and comparison. Instead of beginning the day with kindness, the first thought becomes criticism. This silent habit poisons the hours that follow. To protect the calm life, there must be a shift. The mirror becomes not a place of self-attack, but a place of self-compassion. To look at your reflection each morning and affirm, "I am worthy of kindness today," is more radical than it sounds. The world constantly teaches that worth must be earned through achievement, beauty, approval, or perfection. But Buddhism, like many wisdom traditions, turns this upside down. It says worth is not earned, but inherent. Every being, no matter their mistakes or flaws, carries Buddha nature, the capacity for awakening, dignity, and compassion. When you greet yourself with kindness, you align with that truth instead of the lies of self-rejection. Self-compassion begins with recognition of suffering. You cannot soften toward yourself if you deny your own pain. Each morning, as you look into your own eyes, acknowledge the weight you carry, the doubts, the fears, the wounds. This acknowledgement is not weakness, it is honesty. Research by psychologist Kristin Neff shows that self-compassion reduces anxiety and depression because it replaces harsh self-judgment with warmth. By meeting yourself with tenderness, you heal the wounds caused by years of inner criticism. The words, "I am worthy of kindness today," act as a counterspell to old conditioning. Many wake and immediately measure themselves. Am I successful enough? Attractive enough? Disciplined enough? This measuring creates a life of endless deficiency. But when you replace it with worthiness, you dismantle the cycle of not enoughness. You remind yourself that being human, breathing and trying, is already enough for kindness. This practice does not excuse harmful behavior. Compassion is not indulgence, it is holding yourself accountable without cruelty. If you erred yesterday, self-compassion does not mean denying it. It means saying, "I made a mistake, but I am still worthy of kindness." With that, you create the strength to learn and change instead of drowning in shame. Buddhism teaches that guilt can paralyze, but compassion heals and moves forward. The mirror serves as a powerful tool because it reflects not just the body, but the relationship you hold with yourself. How you respond to that reflection shapes your day. If you begin with hostility, the mind carries hostility into work, relationships, and choices. If you begin with gentleness, that same gentleness colors your actions toward others. Compassion is contagious, and it begins with the one you face in the glass. Practical steps can anchor this practice. Each morning, stand before the mirror for a few moments. Instead of scanning for flaws, look into your own eyes and silently affirm, "I am worthy of kindness today." Repeat until the words feel real, even if at first they feel awkward. Over time, the brain learns to accept them. This repetition rewires the pathways of self-talk, replacing criticism with care. Small gestures strengthen the effect. Place a hand on your heart while you speak the words. Research shows that physical touch, even from oneself, releases oxytocin, the hormone linked to bonding and soothing. You become your own source of comfort, no longer waiting for external validation to feel cared for. This practice also interrupts generational cycles. Many inherit self-criticism from parents, teachers, or culture. By meeting yourself with compassion, you break that chain. You stop passing harshness to yourself and to others. Your children, friends, and partners see a model of self-acceptance and learn from it. In this way, the mirror practice extends far beyond you. It becomes an act of collective healing. From a Buddhist view, compassion is not selective. If you vow to treat all beings with kindness, you cannot exclude yourself. To reject your own worth is to live in contradiction. By affirming kindness to yourself, you practice consistency. You embody the teaching that compassion knows no boundaries. Some may resist, believing that self-criticism fuels growth. But research shows the opposite. Harshness breeds fear and paralysis, while compassion encourages resilience and motivation. When you know you are safe in your own regard, you take risks, learn from failure, and persist. Kindness does not make you weak, it makes you braver. Practical extensions of the practice include writing small notes on your mirror, words like worthy, enough, or kindness. These reminders interrupt habitual criticism. Another method is guided reflection. As you look at your reflection, think of yourself as a dear friend. Would you speak cruelly to them? If not, why speak cruelly to yourself? Treat yourself with the same gentleness you would offer someone you love. Over time, the mirror practice changes not only self-image but daily behavior. People who cultivate self-compassion are less reactive, more patient, and less prone to burnout. They know how to pace themselves, to rest without guilt, to say no without shame. These habits are not laziness, they are the fruits of recognizing worth. Buddhism often teaches metta, or loving kindness meditation. This practice usually begins by offering kindness to oneself. May I be safe, may I be happy, may I be free from suffering. The mirror practice is an extension of this. By linking the meditation to the physical act of looking at yourself, you integrate compassion into the most ordinary of routines. The mirror also reminds you of impermanence. The face you see will change. Lines will deepen, hair will gray, skin will shift. Meeting yourself with kindness now trains you to continue when those changes come. Instead of mourning youth or resisting age, you greet each version of yourself with care. This transforms aging from a source of suffering into a practice of acceptance. On difficult mornings, the practice may feel impossible. The critic may shout louder than the affirmation. In these moments, soften the words, I am learning to be worthy of kindness today. Progress is not perfection. The effort itself is an act of compassion. Even on the hardest days, you can offer yourself a fraction of gentleness, and that fraction can carry you through. This practice also heals the body-mind split. Many treat their body as an enemy, judging its size, strength, or limitations. By looking at yourself and affirming worth, you begin to honor the body as ally. You shift from hostility to gratitude, from criticism to respect. The body becomes not a problem to fix, but a companion to care for. In time, the mirror ceases to be a source of dread. It becomes a quiet sanctuary, a place of renewal. You no longer brace yourself against your reflection. You meet it like an old friend, with warmth and acceptance. This shift changes not only mornings, but the entire way you walk through life. To live a calm life is to live free from inner war. The mirror practice disarms that war. By affirming, I am worthy of kindness today, you set down weapons of self-attack and pick up tools of care. Each morning becomes a chance to begin not with hostility, but with love. So tomorrow, when you stand before the glass, resist the urge to measure or criticize. Meet your own gaze gently. Let the words rise softly. I am worthy of kindness today. With those words, you carry compassion from the mirror into the day, shaping not only how you see yourself, but how you treat the world around you. When the mirror softens into kindness, the heart begins to rest in its own worth. Yet kindness alone is not enough if every day feels like repetition, as though you are trapped in yesterday's story. Too often mornings arrive only to be treated as another line in a script already written. The alarm rings, the same tasks return, the same memories rise, and life feels less like living and more like replaying. But the truth waiting in the quiet of dawn is different. Every morning is not routine, it is rebirth. To see the sunrise as rebirth is to recognize that you are not bound by yesterday. The mistakes you made, the arguments you had, the disappointments you carried, they do not own this day unless you invite them. Waking is not simply continuation, it is renewal. Just as the world itself begins fresh with each dawn, you too are offered a new incarnation, unshackled from what has already passed. This shift of perception changes everything. If the morning is routine, you carry old burdens forward. If the morning is rebirth, you enter light and unencumbered. Buddhist thought emphasizes this truth. Life is a chain of moments, each one dying into the next. What you were is not fixed. Who you are is always becoming. The rebirth of morning is not metaphorical. It is reality. Cells renew, thoughts shift, time moves. Each sunrise is proof that life recreates itself endlessly. Treating morning as rebirth also awakens freedom. Many live as though identity is carved in stone, defined by past failures or successes. But each dawn erases yesterday's script. The self you carry is a construction, and constructions can be rebuilt. When you meet the day as a new life, you open to possibility. You are no longer prisoner to who you were. You are participant in who you are becoming. This perspective also nurtures resilience. If today is new, then despair from yesterday loses its authority. You can begin again, not someday, but now. Even deep suffering can be met with the truth that nothing fixes you in place. Each day is a chance to rise differently. Rebirth is not denial of pain. It is the courage to keep moving forward despite it. Practical methods make this view real. One practice is to pause at sunrise or upon waking and silently declare, "Today I am born again." Let the words settle, not as poetry but as truth. Feel the freshness of breath, the newness of light. By anchoring yourself to this declaration, you train the mind to see morning not as repetition but as creation. Another method is ritual cleansing. Wash your face, shower, or even drink water with awareness, as though washing away yesterday's residue. These acts, ordinary and routine, become sacred in intention. They signal to the body and mind, I step into new life. Ancient traditions often use water as symbol of rebirth. You can embody that symbolism each morning with simple gestures. Journaling can also strengthen this perspective. Instead of listing tasks, write, "Who do I choose to be today?" Let the words arise freely. They may be small, patient, attentive, gentle, or they may be bold, courageous, creative, forgiving. Each entry is a reminder that you are not bound to yesterday's identity. You are always free to step into new qualities. From a scientific view, neuroplasticity supports this truth. The brain rewires itself daily. Every thought and action lays down new connections. By treating each morning as rebirth, you align with the brain's natural capacity for renewal. You choose consciously which pathways to strengthen, instead of unconsciously replaying old patterns. Seeing morning as rebirth also deepens gratitude. To be given another chance is not trivial. So many do not wake. So many wake with no freedom. To recognize your own freedom each morning, to breathe, to choose, to begin again, is to honor life's generosity. Gratitude then becomes not a forced practice, but a natural response to rebirth. This view also transforms time. Routine compresses hours into monotony. Rebirth expands them into opportunity. The same breakfast, the same commute, the same tasks can feel alive when seen through the lens of newness. You begin to notice details once overlooked. The light on the table, the taste of food, the sound of footsteps. Rebirth sharpens perception, turning ordinary into extraordinary. It also heals the weight of regret. Many live trapped in stories of what they should have done differently. Morning as rebirth interrupts that story. You cannot rewrite yesterday, but you can live today differently. Each dawn is a chance to correct course, to embody values neglected, to love more openly. Regret loses its sting when every day is recognized as opportunity to begin again. This perspective influences relationships as well. Too often, we lock others into fixed identities. The friend who disappointed us, the partner who hurt us, the colleague who failed us. But if each day is rebirth, then they too are new. Meeting them with fresh eyes softens resentment and allows change. You free them from the prison of your judgment, just as you free yourself from your own. Spiritual traditions across cultures echo this truth. In Christianity, each morning is mercy renewed. In Stoicism, each day is a gift undeserved. In Buddhism, each moment is a birth and a death. To live with this awareness is to walk in harmony with wisdom that transcends time and culture. Practical extensions are endless. Begin conversations with openness, as though meeting the person anew. Approach work not as routine, but as a chance to contribute freshly. Treat setbacks not as final verdicts, but as part of the day's new unfolding. Rebirth is not theory, it is applied perspective. The body too can be honored as reborn. Stretch gently upon waking, treating the body not as tired continuation but as renewed companion. Thank it for carrying you into another day. This gratitude shifts how you treat it, with nourishment instead of neglect, with movement instead of disregard. Rebirth also fosters creativity. When you know you are new each morning, you dare to experiment. You are less attached to fixed roles, more willing to explore. This creativity does not require grand projects. It may be as simple as preparing food differently, speaking with more honesty, or noticing beauty in new places. Life becomes art when seen through rebirth. This perspective also heals fear of failure. If today is rebirth, then failure yesterday cannot define you. You can attempt again with fresh energy. Resilience grows naturally when identity is not chained to past outcomes. Each attempt is a new life, free of yesterday's scars. Even suffering can be held differently. Pain may persist, but rebirth offers new ways of relating to it. The body may hurt, but the mind can meet it freshly, with patience today that was absent yesterday. The heart may grieve, but each morning brings slightly different light to that grief. Rebirth does not erase suffering, but it offers space for it to evolve. Over time, this practice changes your sense of self. You no longer cling to rigid stories about who you are. You begin to see yourself as fluid, unfolding, becoming. This loosens the grip of identity and brings freedom. You realize you are not the fixed character of yesterday, you are the living process of today. So when dawn arrives, let it not pass as routine. Pause, breathe, and step into it as rebirth. Declare inwardly, "Today I begin again." Let this truth ripple through your actions, your relationships, your choices. Life is not repetition, it is constant creation. Each sunrise confirms it. To live this way is to live vividly, lightly, and free from the chains of yesterday. When you begin to see morning as rebirth, something profound shifts in how you approach the hours ahead. If every sunrise is a new life, then how you step into it matters deeply. Yet most people rush into the day as if chased emails before breath, chores before silence, worries before presence. The sacred chance of renewal is buried beneath the machinery of productivity. But there is another way, a gentler way, learning the subtle art of non-doing. Non-doing does not mean laziness, neglect, or resistance to life. It means honoring being before doing. It is a pause that anchors you in the essence of life before the endless tasks begin. In Buddhist practice, this is close to Wu Wei, effortless action, the state where you align with the flow of reality instead of forcing yourself against it. To practice non-doing in the morning is to remind yourself that your worth is not measured by output, it is measured by presence. This pause is not empty, it is full of richness often missed when rushing. In stillness, you notice the warmth of breath, the quiet hum of the world waking, the soft rhythm of your own heart. These subtle experiences remind you that life is happening now, not in the list of tasks waiting. By cultivating stillness first, you carry clarity into whatever comes next. Productivity without presence scatters the mind. Productivity rooted in being flows naturally. Practicing non-doing each morning also heals the nervous system. The modern world pulls the body into constant stress, with cortisol levels spiking at the first ping of the phone. But if you begin the day with stillness, sitting quietly, breathing, or simply resting, you send the opposite signal. Safety, calm, stability. This activates the parasympathetic system, setting the tone for a day lived from balance rather than reactivity. This art also teaches humility. Doing often feeds ego, the sense that your value lies in accomplishments. Non-doing reminds you that you are already whole without achievements. You exist, therefore you are worthy. By sitting quietly, you dissolve the illusion that you must prove yourself every morning. This practice frees you from the cycle of over-identification with roles and responsibilities. Practical approaches are simple yet powerful. Upon waking, resist the pull of devices. Instead, sit on the edge of the bed or on a cushion. Close your eyes, rest your hands loosely, and simply be. Thoughts will rise. Let them. The point is not to eliminate them, but to stop chasing them. This is non-doing, allowing thoughts, sensations, and sounds to exist without interference. Just 5 minutes of this can change the texture of your entire day. Another method is mindful observation. Sit by a window and watch the light slowly expand across the room. Hear the birds or distant hums. Let yourself be a witness rather than a worker. This strengthens patience, teaching that life unfolds without your constant pushing. Witnessing is participation in life without grasping. Non-doing can also include gentle practices like sipping tea slowly or lying in bed for a few extra breaths, fully aware. The difference is intention. Instead of rushing, you linger with awareness. Instead of consuming the moment to get to the next, you inhabit it. This teaches the mind that value lies in being present, not in finishing. Philosophically, this practice dismantles the illusion of control. Doing often gives the false impression that you are steering everything, but sitting in non-doing reveals a deeper truth. Much of life happens without your effort. The heart beats, the breath flows, the sun rises, all without your control. Recognizing this releases the burden of over-responsibility. You learn to trust life's rhythm, to cooperate instead of dominate. Science supports this as well. Studies show that mindfulness and stillness practices increase gray matter in brain regions linked to emotional regulation and focus. Just a few minutes of stillness in the morning strengthens attention and reduces stress throughout the day. The body and mind both benefit when being precedes doing. This practice also shifts your relationship with time. Instead of beginning the day already racing against the clock, you begin by expanding it. Time feels abundant when you pause, scarce when you rush. By practicing non-doing, you discover that you can meet the day spaciously rather than frantically, even if the tasks ahead remain the same. Non-doing nurtures creativity. When the mind is not forced into constant production, insights arise naturally. Many breakthroughs in art and science came not from frantic effort, but from quiet moments of rest. By practicing stillness each morning, you create fertile ground for inspiration to surface throughout the day. Compassion also grows from this soil. Rushing often breeds impatience, but stillness breeds gentleness. When you honor yourself with silence, you naturally extend that patience to others. You meet them not as obstacles to your productivity, but as fellow beings moving through their own rhythms. Non-doing becomes a subtle act of kindness. Even spiritual growth is rooted in this art. The Buddha often spoke of stopping, of learning to rest in awareness rather than chasing craving. Non-doing in the morning mirrors this teaching. It trains you to value presence, to recognize that awakening is not found in more effort, but in seeing clearly what already is. Resistance to non-doing is natural. The mind, conditioned by culture, equates stillness with waste. But ask yourself, what is truly wasted? 5 minutes of silence or a whole day lived in unconscious rushing? The answer becomes clear with practice. Non-doing does not waste time. It gives time back its depth. Over time, this art becomes second nature. The day no longer begins with a jolt of urgency, but with a breath of presence. You still accomplish tasks, but from a grounded place. You still meet challenges, but with clarity instead of chaos. Non-doing is not absence of life, it is the foundation of living well. So tomorrow, before the machinery of productivity turns on, sit in stillness, breathe, notice, be. Honor being before doing. In this pause lies the strength, clarity, and peace that carry you through the day. This is the subtle gift of non-doing, the reminder that your calm life begins not with effort, but with presence. When stillness has been honored and the body has learned the value of non-doing, the mind itself reveals its hidden influence. In that fragile space between sleep and wakefulness, a single thought often rises first. It may be a worry, a memory, a hope, or even a harsh self-judgment. Left unchecked, that one thought can color the entire day, shaping mood, decisions, and even how the body feels. This is the unseen weight of thought, small in appearance, but immense in effect. The Buddha often compared the mind to a fertile field. Whatever seed is planted will grow, whether it is nourishing or poisonous. The thought that greets you in the morning is that seed. If it is heavy with resentment or fear, the mind cultivates a day of tension. If it carries gratitude or purpose, the same mind cultivates clarity and ease. Most people let this seed form unconsciously. The invitation of practice is to choose it with awareness. The science of cognition supports this truth. Studies show that the first thought or emotional state upon waking sets off chemical cascades that influence hormones, attention, and decision-making for hours. A stressed or self-critical thought increases cortisol, narrowing focus and fueling reactivity. A calm or grateful thought activates the prefrontal cortex, strengthening patience and empathy. The body literally follows the tone set by the first seed of thought. To work skillfully with this, begin by noticing. As you wake, ask yourself gently, what was the first thought? Do not judge it. Simply observe. Perhaps it was about unfinished work, about someone you love, or about something you regret. By noticing, you step outside the automatic grip of that thought. Observation itself weakens its unconscious power. Once observation is steady, you can begin to plant deliberately. Before sleeping, set the intention for the first thought of the morning. Whisper to yourself, when I wake, may my first thought be one of gratitude, or may it be kindness, or may it be courage. This instruction, given to the mind before rest, often bears fruit at dawn. Over time, the mind learns to greet the day with chosen seeds rather than random ones. Practical examples help anchor this. If your mornings often begin with dread about work, replace the first thought with, I will meet today with steadiness. If you wake with loneliness, plant the thought, I am connected to all beings through breath and life. If you wake restless, choose, this day is enough. These phrases are not empty affirmations, they are deliberate seeds, aligned with reality, yet infused with care. Meditation strengthens this further. Each morning, sit for a few minutes and choose one thought to repeat silently. Let it fill the mind like sunlight, Neuroscience shows that repetition consolidates neural pathways. By repeating a beneficial thought, you create grooves in the brain that make it easier for the mind to return to them during the day. In this way, one thought becomes the foundation for countless actions. The weight of one thought also shows in relationships. If you wake thinking critically of yourself, you carry that harshness into interactions. Words become sharper, patience thinner. If you wake with a thought of kindness, you carry that same energy outward. The people around you may never know where it began, but they feel its presence. Thus, the quality of one thought upon waking can ripple into entire networks of connection. Philosophically, this practice reveals the emptiness of permanence. A single thought can shift perception so drastically that the world appears different, though nothing external changed. This demonstrates that experience is shaped more by the mind than by circumstances. To realize this is to reclaim power. You cannot always control events, but you can choose the thought that colors how you meet them. Resistance often arises. The critic says, "One thought cannot matter that much," but notice your own history. Recall mornings when the first thought was anxious. Did the day not feel heavier? Recall mornings when it was peaceful. Did the hours not flow differently? This is not exaggeration, it is direct experience. To deny it is to ignore your own evidence. Practical tools can reinforce the habit. Keep a small card on your nightstand with the thought you wish to plant. Read it first thing, or place a reminder on your phone screen that appears before other notifications. Use objects in your environment as anchors, so the chosen thought greets you before unconscious ones rush in. Spiritual traditions long understood this. In Buddhism, practitioners recite verses upon waking, dedicating the day to mindfulness and compassion. These verses are not ritual for ritual's sake. They are methods of planting the first seed with intention. Monks, laypeople, and meditators across centuries have used this technique to shape their days in alignment with wisdom. The weight of one thought also affects health. Research shows that positive morning thoughts improve cardiovascular markers, strengthen immunity, and reduce chronic stress. The body does not separate mind from matter. It responds to thought as if it were reality. Choosing a nourishing first thought is therefore not just spiritual, it is physiological care. Over time, this practice changes identity. You begin to see yourself not as victim of thoughts, but as gardener of them. Instead of passively inheriting the seeds of conditioning, you actively cultivate. Identity shifts from "I am anxious" to "I can choose steadiness," from "I am unworthy" to "I can affirm kindness." This shift is profound because it breaks the illusion that thoughts define you. Compassion also grows here. When you see how much your own mind is swayed by one thought, you understand how others are too. Their anger, their joy, their despair may come from seeds planted unconsciously. This softens judgment. You meet them with patience, knowing that they too are gardeners, some skilled, some still learning. This awareness reshapes even ambition. Goals pursued from anxious first thoughts often feel desperate, unsatisfying. Goals pursued from steady or grateful first thoughts feel aligned, joyful. The same actions look different when the root thought is different. Thus, planting skillful thoughts is not small, it shapes the entire architecture of life. The practice does not require perfection. Some mornings the old seeds will appear: fear, resentment, criticism. That is natural. The skill is in noticing and gently replacing them with chosen ones. Over time, the balance shifts. The garden grows richer with thoughts that support peace, kindness, and clarity. So tomorrow, when you wake, pause before rushing forward. Listen for the first thought. If it is heavy, acknowledge it and release it. If it is kind, nurture it. And if you wish, plant a new one deliberately. Whisper a thought that lifts, steadies, and connects you. In that small act, you carry the seed of an entire day. The weight of one thought is immense, but when chosen with care, it is the weight that builds a calm life. When the power of one thought is understood, the gaze naturally turns toward the vessel that carries those thoughts, the body. It is easy to forget that every idea, every choice, every experience passes through this physical form. Yet too often, the body is treated as a servant to be commanded, rather than a companion to be honored. The morning becomes a list of demands: move faster, look better, endure more, without a moment of gratitude for the fact that the body woke with you at all. To live a calm life, you must learn to bow to the body before expecting anything from it. This bow is not about ritual or performance. It is an inward gesture of respect. It says, "Thank you for breathing through the night, for carrying me into another day, for keeping me alive even when I forget you." Most of your body's work happens unseen: the beating of the heart, the filtering of blood, the repairing of cells. Gratitude for these hidden labors shifts your relationship from one of criticism to one of reverence. Buddhism teaches that the body is a precious human birth, a rare chance for practice. Without it, there is no path, no meditation, no awakening. Yet many spend their lives resenting it: too old, too weak, too flawed. Gratitude transforms this resentment into partnership. By bowing inwardly each morning, you acknowledge the body not as an obstacle but as your ally on the path. Practical ways to bow begin simply. Place your hand on your chest or abdomen as you wake and acknowledge, this body is still here. Feel the pulse, the breath, the warmth. Let that awareness soften you. Even if the body aches, even if it is not how you wish it to be, it is still carrying you. Gratitude in this moment is not conditional. It is unconditional appreciation for life itself. This practice has scientific echoes. Research shows that body appreciation leads to higher well-being, better health habits, and lower levels of anxiety. When gratitude is expressed toward the body, stress hormones decrease and self-care behaviors increase. People who respect their bodies are more likely to nourish them, rest them, and move them with kindness. Bowing to the body in the morning is not only spiritual, it directly influences physical health. The art of bowing also interrupts cycles of self-criticism. Many begin the day scanning the mirror for flaws or feeling disappointment in pain or fatigue. This sets a tone of hostility that lingers all day. By starting with gratitude instead, you change the foundation. Even if you later notice imperfections, they are held within a wider frame of respect. Criticism loses its sharpness because appreciation has already spoken first. Bowing does not deny reality. If the body is unwell, you do not pretend otherwise. But you recognize that even in illness, the body is doing its best. The immune system fights unseen battles. The muscles strive to support you. The lungs continue to draw air. Gratitude softens the frustration of limitation and replaces it with compassion. You become less of a harsh master and more of a gentle caretaker. This practice also deepens mindfulness. When you bow to the body, you notice sensations that are often ignored: the stretch of muscles, the rhythm of heartbeat, the temperature of breath. Awareness of the body anchors you in the present moment. The Buddha himself taught mindfulness of the body as the first foundation of awareness, because the body is always here, always real. By beginning the day this way, you root yourself in direct experience before abstractions and worries intrude. From a relational perspective, bowing to the body enhances empathy. When you treat your own body with respect, you extend that respect to the bodies of others. You recognize that every person you meet is carried by a body with its own struggles, strengths, and scars. This understanding reduces judgment and increases compassion, both for yourself and others. There are countless ways to embody this gratitude. Some stretch gently in the morning, not to force performance, but to thank the body for its range of movement. Others drink water slowly, acknowledging the body's thirst. Some whisper words of appreciation: thank you for my legs, thank you for my hands, thank you for my breath. These small gestures, repeated daily, transform the body from target of complaint into source of reverence. Philosophically, bowing to the body challenges cultural conditioning. Many societies treat the body as a machine to be optimized or a product to be judged. By practicing gratitude, you resist these narratives. You declare that worth is not dependent on appearance or efficiency. The body is sacred because it is alive, not because it meets external standards. This shift also influences how you pursue goals. Instead of driving the body with neglect, you cooperate with it. Exercise becomes an act of care rather than punishment. Rest becomes a necessity rather than laziness. Food becomes nourishment rather than an enemy. Bowing to the body changes the motivation behind every action, grounding it in respect. Even in spiritual practice, this bow matters. Meditation often requires sitting still, which can bring discomfort. If you approach with hostility, the discomfort becomes suffering. But if you bow first, acknowledging the body's effort, you meet the discomfort with patience. The practice deepens because it is rooted in partnership rather than opposition. Over time, this habit reshapes identity. You no longer see the body as separate from you, but as you. This dissolves duality, the sense of me ordering around my body. Instead, you recognize the body-mind as one process, working together. This unity brings peace, because conflict between self and body dissolves. Gratitude for the body also brings humility. No matter your intelligence or achievements, without the body, you cannot act. Every thought depends on oxygen. Every ambition depends on movement. Acknowledging this grounds you, reminding you of dependence. Instead of arrogance, you carry reverence. This practice does not require hours. Even a single mindful breath, accompanied by a silent thank you, is enough to bow inwardly. Consistency matters more than duration. The daily act of beginning with gratitude shapes perception, and perception shapes the entire day. Bowing to the body each morning also plants seeds for aging gracefully. As the body changes, gratitude keeps you from resentment. Wrinkles, gray hair, and slowed movements are no longer enemies but reminders of endurance. Gratitude allows you to celebrate longevity rather than mourn youth. This awareness influences how you meet others in their aging and illness. You no longer see them as diminished, but as sacred bodies carrying life with dignity. Compassion flows naturally because you understand the gift and fragility of embodiment. So when you rise tomorrow, pause before demanding anything of yourself. Place a hand on your chest, bow inwardly, and say, "Thank you, body." Even if you feel tired, even if you feel pain, gratitude remains possible. From this beginning, whatever tasks follow are met not with hostility, but with partnership. To bow is to honor the silent labor that allows you to live at all. And in that bow, you carry the seed of a calm life into everything that follows. When the body has been bowed to with gratitude, the heart naturally widens its view. Respect for your own form opens the door to seeing how deeply your life depends on countless others. The food you eat, the clothes you wear, the shelter you rest under, all these comforts do not appear by themselves. They exist because of hands you will never shake, faces you will never see, lives that intertwine silently with yours. This is the invisible web of interbeing, the truth that nothing stands alone. Awakening to this web transforms the ordinary into sacred. Breakfast becomes more than a meal. Each grain of rice carries the labor of farmers, the patience of soil, the gift of rain, the warmth of sun, the transport of workers, the care of those who cooked before you eat. To chew mindlessly is to erase this truth. To eat with awareness is to touch the vast network of existence. Gratitude deepens when you realize your survival rests on the cooperation of the world. This perspective is at the heart of Buddhist teaching. Thich Nhat Hanh often spoke of seeing the cloud in your tea, the rain in your bread, the entire cosmos in a single flower. Nothing exists independently. To forget this is to fall into arrogance. To remember it is to awaken humility. Each morning, reflecting on this web is a way of grounding yourself in interconnection. Practical methods bring this awareness alive. As you wake and prepare breakfast, pause to trace one item back. Hold a piece of fruit and reflect. Who planted the seed? Who watered the tree? Who harvested it? Who transported it? Who arranged it in the store? Who built the roads that allowed it to arrive? Suddenly, what seemed simple becomes vast. This reflection does not make the food ordinary, it makes it extraordinary. The same is true of clothing. The shirt on your back carries the story of cotton fields, machines, factories, designers, transporters, and sellers. The walls around you were built by workers, engineers, and even the hands of those who cut wood or shaped stone. Your life is carried by invisible threads that stretch across nations and generations. To wake and remember this is to dissolve the illusion of independence. This awareness also creates responsibility. If your comfort rests on others, then your choices affect them in return. To waste food is to dishonor the labor of countless beings. To consume mindlessly is to strain the earth and those who work upon it. Responsibility grows not from guilt but from love. You begin to ask, how can I live in a way that honors this web rather than harms it? Science also affirms interdependence. Ecology shows that every system is connected: air, water, soil, species. Social sciences reveal that economies, cultures, and families form interlocking networks. Neuroscience demonstrates that emotions are contagious, spreading between people like ripples in water. Interbeing is not only spiritual truth, it is scientific reality. This reflection also deepens compassion. When you know your life depends on others, you cannot dismiss them easily. The stranger on the street may have touched your life through unseen labor. The farmer in another country may have grown the food on your table. This recognition expands the circle of concern beyond family or community to humanity itself. Practices of gratitude can anchor this. Each morning, as you eat, whisper thanks not only for the food, but for all the lives within it. Thank the earth, the rain, the hands that worked, the systems that carried. This practice turns meals into meditations, daily rituals of humility. This awareness also changes consumption. When you remember that each object carries countless lives, you buy less recklessly, you waste less carelessly, you cherish more deeply. Simplicity arises naturally, not from deprivation, but from respect. To own less, but honor more, becomes a source of peace. Interbeing also dissolves loneliness. Many wake feeling isolated, believing they face life alone. But reflecting on the web reveals the opposite. Every moment you are supported by countless beings, seen and unseen. The air you breathe is given by trees, the warmth of your home by builders, the energy in your body by farmers. You are never truly alone. You are woven into the fabric of existence. This truth also heals pride. Achievements often feel individual, but they are never isolated. Your education depended on teachers, on books, on the labor of those who printed them. Your career depends on colleagues, systems, infrastructure. Recognizing this dissolves arrogance and fosters gratitude. Success becomes not a personal throne, but a shared accomplishment. From a Buddhist view, forgetting into being fuels suffering. Clinging to the illusion of separateness creates greed, anger, and ignorance. Remembering into being awakens generosity, compassion, and wisdom. It shifts the sense of self from isolated ego to part of a vast whole. This shift is liberation in daily life. Practical exercises can reinforce this. As you wake, look around your room and trace one item back through its web. Do this daily with something new. Over time, the mind naturally sees into being everywhere. Another practice is to dedicate your actions to others. As you eat, may this energy be used to serve. As you dress, may this clothing remind me of the lives that contributed. These small rituals reshape perception, embedding interconnection into ordinary routines. This awareness influences ethics as well. When you know your life depends on others, harming them becomes self-harm. Polluting the environment poisons the very systems that sustain you. Exploiting workers undermines the humanity that feeds you. Responsibility grows from understanding, not command. The calm life is not only personal peace, but collective care. Even suffering can be reframed in this web. When you feel pain, remember that countless others share similar struggles. Your hardship is not isolated, but part of the human condition. This dissolves self-pity and awakens compassion. Into being teaches that joy and sorrow ripple across the web, binding us together. Over time, this practice transforms identity. You no longer see yourself as a solitary unit, but as a node in a vast network. This brings both humility and empowerment. Humility because you realize nothing is yours alone. Empowerment because you realize your actions ripple outward, touching lives you may never see. Every choice becomes meaningful. So tomorrow, as you wake and eat, as you dress and move through your home, pause. Reflect on the invisible hands, the silent lives, the countless threads that hold you. Whisper inwardly, I live because of others. Let this truth awaken gratitude, responsibility, and compassion. In remembering into being, you step into a calm life, not as an island, but as part of the vast ocean of existence. When the heart awakens to the web of into being, gratitude expands outward. You see that your life rests on countless supports and connections. But even with this awareness, there is still a danger that weighs heavily. The habit of carrying forward what no longer belongs. Yesterday's emotions, if left unchecked, slip quietly into today. Old anger, lingering sadness, sharp words, unhealed wounds, they follow you like hidden luggage. The day begins heavy, not because of what is happening now, but because of what you have chosen, consciously or unconsciously, to bring with you. Choosing not to pick up yesterday's emotional baggage is a practice of liberation. It is the declaration that what has passed has no right to control the present. The Buddha taught that clinging is the root of suffering, and emotions, when clung to, become chains. This practice does not deny what you felt. It acknowledges the reality of those emotions while refusing to let them define the new day. The mind is skilled at carrying forward. Neuroscience shows that unresolved emotions linger in the nervous system, shaping mood and thought long after the event ends. This is why an argument at night can sour the morning, or a failure from last week can echo in today's choices. Without awareness, these emotions become default settings. But with mindfulness, you can pause each morning and say, that was yesterday. Today begins anew. The first step is awareness. As you wake, scan your mind. Notice what emotions linger. Perhaps disappointment, irritation, or regret. Instead of fusing with them, label them. Anger, sadness, worry. This labeling separates the self from the feeling. You are not anger. You are experiencing anger. Already the luggage grows lighter because you see it as optional, not mandatory. The second step is intentional release. This can be done with breath. Inhale deeply, and as you exhale, silently affirm, "I release yesterday." Repeat as needed until you feel space open. The body responds to this ritual. Stress hormones decrease as the nervous system receives the signal of letting go. It is not magic, it is physiology coupled with intention. Practical rituals help reinforce this. Some write down lingering emotions in a journal each morning, then close the book as if sealing them away. Others use water, washing the face or showering while consciously releasing emotions into the stream. The physical act symbolizes the inner act. These small gestures remind the mind that the baggage has been acknowledged and put down. Forgiveness plays a role as well. Often yesterday's emotions linger because of others' actions. To carry resentment into today is to let another's mistake poison your peace twice. Forgiveness here is not approval, it is release. It says, "I will not let your actions steal another day of my life." This is self-compassion disguised as generosity. There is also the question of self-directed emotions. Many wake with regret about their own words or actions. Here too, forgiveness is vital. To forgive yourself each morning is to refuse to let yesterday's self dictate today's possibilities. The mind that clings to self-judgment cannot grow, the mind that forgives can. This practice also requires discernment. Not every emotion is harmful to carry forward. Joy, love, and gratitude can be welcomed companions. The key is choosing, not defaulting. To consciously carry joy is nourishment. To unconsciously carry resentment is poison. Each morning, choose what you will pack into the day's journey. Buddhist reflection on impermanence supports this. All emotions, whether painful or pleasant, are temporary. They arise, peak, and fade. To carry them forward artificially is to fight their natural course. By letting them dissolve, you align with reality. The phrase, "this too will change," applies not only to outer events, but also to inner moods. Science confirms the value of release. Studies on emotional regulation show that mindfulness and letting go reduce rumination, depression, and anxiety. People who consciously release emotions daily report greater resilience and clarity. The nervous system resets instead of remaining trapped in old patterns. Choosing not to carry yesterday's baggage also changes relationships. If you bring yesterday's anger into today's conversation, the conflict multiplies. But if you release it first, you meet others freshly, without old shadows. This allows healing and genuine connection. Every day becomes a chance to meet your loved ones anew, instead of through the lens of yesterday's pain. Practical methods can be woven into morning routines. Before leaving bed, say silently, "I leave behind what no longer serves." Or while drinking your first glass of water, dedicate it. "May this cleanse me of yesterday's emotions." The repetition of such practices trains the mind to begin the day lighter. Philosophically, this practice dismantles identity built on pain. Many cling to emotions because they define themselves by them. I am the betrayed one. I am the angry one. I am the failure. But when you refuse to carry those emotions forward, you free yourself from those identities. You are no longer chained to old roles. You are open to becoming. Compassion also flows naturally from this. When you release your own baggage, you recognize how others suffer under theirs. You see their anger as a burden, not as essence. This makes patience easier. Instead of reacting to their baggage, you understand it as weight they have not yet learned to put down. This practice does not mean ignoring unresolved issues. If yesterday requires action today, apologies, corrections, or commitments, you address them. But you address them from fresh presence, not from the residue of resentment or despair. This difference is profound. It allows you to act with clarity rather than reactivity. Over time, choosing not to pick up emotional baggage changes your baseline state. Mornings feel lighter, days flow more smoothly, and nights end with less residue. You live closer to the present, less entangled with the past. This is liberation not in theory but in lived experience. So tomorrow, as you wake, pause. Notice what emotions try to climb into your day. Acknowledge them, thank them for their lessons, and then put them down. Choose instead what to carry: gratitude, patience, love. Whisper to yourself, the emotions of yesterday are not required for today. In that choice lies the freedom of a calm life, renewed every dawn. When the choice is made to leave behind yesterday's emotions, the heart becomes free enough to meet the day without weight. Yet freedom alone is not the end of the path. There is a deeper perspective that can ignite urgency and meaning in every step you take. The recognition that this human life itself is rare, fragile, and precious. Without remembering this truth, even a clear morning can slip into distraction and waste. With it, every moment becomes fuel for living fully. Buddhist teachings often describe the rarity of human birth with striking images. One of the most famous is the parable of a blind sea turtle surfacing once every 100 years, and the chance that its head might pass through a single yolk floating on the ocean. That chance, the texts say, is less rare than being born human. Whether taken literally or symbolically, the meaning is clear. Existence in this form, with awareness, intelligence, and opportunity, is extraordinary. To squander it on trivialities is to forget the gift you carry. Reflecting on this rarity each morning shifts priorities. Ordinary frustrations lose their grip when weighed against the miracle of being alive as a human. The complaint about slow internet, the irritation at traffic, the obsession with minor appearances, these fade when you remember that you hold a form capable of wisdom, compassion, and transformation. This is not guilt. It is clarity. It is seeing what matters and what does not. Science also reinforces this sense of rarity. Consider the billions of galaxies, the countless planets, the sheer improbability that conditions arose here for life. Then consider the chance that you, specifically with your genetics and history, came into being. Statistically, the odds are beyond comprehension. To wake each morning is not ordinary, it is improbable. Letting this awareness sink in can transform laziness into gratitude-fueled urgency. This urgency is not panic. It is not about rushing or fearing time. It is about living deliberately. Many people drift through days as if there will always be more, as if opportunities are endless. But when you reflect on rarity, you understand that each day is non-repeatable. You may have more days, but you will never have this one again. That realization fuels presence. You eat with awareness, you listen more deeply, you choose with care. The rarity of human life also carries responsibility. With this birth comes the ability to cause harm or healing on a vast scale. Animals act by instinct, but humans can reflect, choose, and alter the world. To wake each morning with this capacity is to hold immense power. The question becomes, how will you use it? The teaching is not to frighten but to awaken. You are entrusted with a gift that carries weight. Practical reflection helps anchor this. Each morning, pause and remind yourself, out of infinite possibilities, I was given this human life. May I use it well? Speak these words inwardly and let them guide your choices. This small reminder prevents the day from being consumed by trivialities. It keeps you aligned with purpose. This perspective also heals despair. When life feels meaningless, remembering its rarity restores value. Even suffering can be reframed. Pain does not erase the gift of existence. It highlights the urgency of using time wisely. Many who faced near-death experiences testify that awareness of fragility changes everything. They love more freely, forgive more easily, and focus on what truly matters. You do not need such extremes if you practice reflection daily. The teaching also nurtures humility. To see your life as rare is to know it is not earned but given. You did not control being born human, in this time, in these conditions. It is a fortune, not an entitlement. This softens arrogance and awakens gratitude. You stop demanding life to meet your every wish and begin honoring life by how you live. From this reflection, ethical conduct grows naturally. If life is precious, wasting it on harm to self or others is foolish. Instead, you seek actions that nourish, that contribute, that bring meaning. Compassion expands because you see the rarity of life, not only in yourself but in everyone. Each person you meet also holds this precious chance, no matter their circumstances. That recognition deepens respect. Practical exercises reinforce this truth. As you eat, reflect. Countless beings do not have this meal. As you walk, reflect. Countless beings do not have this freedom of movement. As you learn, reflect. Countless beings do not have this chance to grow. These thoughts are not meant to create guilt, but gratitude and responsibility. They sharpen your awareness of the extraordinary conditions you enjoy. Philosophically, this reflection also dissolves procrastination. To postpone meaning is to gamble with a gift that is uncertain in length. How many mornings are left? None can say. When you see life's rarity, the impulse to delay shrinks. You begin now, not later, to live according to your values. This teaching also invites joy. Precious things are cherished, not resented. To see your life as rare is to celebrate it. Even small pleasures shine brighter when seen as part of a miracle. The warmth of sunlight, the laughter of friends, the comfort of home all become treasures, not background noise. Gratitude becomes natural because you see clearly how unlikely it is to have these moments at all. The awareness of rarity also deepens spiritual practice. Meditation, reflection, and ethical living are no longer chores, but opportunities. Each breath of practice is a use of this rare human birth toward awakening. To neglect practice is to waste the very gift designed for it. This truth motivates without harshness, like a gentle reminder of what is possible. Over time, this reflection reshapes identity. You stop seeing yourself as ordinary and start seeing yourself as custodian of something precious. This does not inflate ego, it humbles it. You are not rare because of superiority, you are rare because of circumstance. This humility breeds both urgency and tenderness. So when you wake tomorrow, let your first awareness after releasing yesterday's baggage be this: human life is rare, and today I hold it. May I not waste it. May I live meaningfully. With this reflection, the day ceases to be routine. It becomes opportunity, responsibility, and gift all at once. And in that awareness, the calm life gains both depth and direction. When the heart awakens to the rarity of human life, a natural reverence for time begins to grow. Each moment feels less like something to burn away and more like something to honor. Yet this reverence is fragile. It can be shattered in seconds by the flood of voices, images, and demands that spill out of a glowing screen. The gift of awareness, so carefully cultivated at dawn, is easily drowned in digital noise. To protect this rare opportunity, there must be a pause. Just 3 minutes of stillness before touching your phone can change the shape of the entire day. This pause is not about rejecting technology. It is about reclaiming your mind before it is claimed by others. The instant you open your device, your awareness is no longer your own. Notifications dictate your focus, headlines stir emotions, messages demand responses. Instead of living from inner clarity, you are swept into currents you did not choose. Beginning the day this way is like handing the steering wheel of your life to strangers. The 3-minute pause is how you hold on to it yourself. Neuroscience confirms how vulnerable the waking mind is. When you first rise, the brain lingers in theta waves, a state of openness and receptivity. This is why ideas, dreams, and impressions feel vivid. It is also why whatever you encounter first sinks deeply. If the first input is gratitude or breath, the mind absorbs calm. If it is conflict or chaos from a screen, the nervous system enters stress before the body has even stood up. These first moments are not trivial, they set chemical tones that echo throughout the day. The practice is simple but transformative. When you wake, resist the impulse to reach for your phone. Instead, sit or lie still for 3 minutes. Breathe. Notice your body. Acknowledge the gift of waking. Reflect on what matters. This small ritual preserves the sanctity of awareness before it is scattered. 3 minutes may seem small, but its impact compounds. Over weeks, it trains the brain to begin from presence rather than distraction. This pause also cultivates discipline. Craving is not only for food or possessions, it is also for stimulation. The itch to check a phone is one of the most widespread cravings of modern life. By pausing, you break that reflex. You show yourself that you are not a servant to compulsion. This strengthens willpower, not just with devices but with all impulses. Each morning becomes training in freedom. Practical variations make the practice personal. Some choose to spend the pause focusing on breath, some on gratitude, others on setting an intention for the day. The content matters less than the pause itself. The key is to direct attention inward before opening the floodgates outward. This sequence preserves autonomy. From a Buddhist perspective, this practice aligns with mindfulness and right effort. The Buddha emphasized guarding the sense doors, eyes, ears, mind from being overwhelmed by unskillful inputs. In the modern world, the phone is the most aggressive sense door intruder. The pause acts as a gatekeeper, allowing you to decide what enters rather than being bombarded unconsciously. The benefits ripple outward. Beginning with a pause lowers reactivity, so when you finally do open the phone, you are steadier. News may disturb, but it does not control. Messages may demand, but they do not dictate your mood. The pause gives you space to meet the world on your terms, rather than being consumed by its chaos. Science, again, affirms this. Studies show that smartphone use immediately upon waking increases stress, lowers productivity, and reduces focus. Conversely, delaying device use correlates with greater calm, better concentration, and improved mood. 3 minutes may seem insignificant, but it interrupts the chain reaction that otherwise hijacks the mind. This pause also preserves the spiritual quality of morning. The first moments after waking carry a softness, a sense of beginning. If filled with digital noise, that softness is lost. If protected, it becomes a sacred space. You step into the day with intention rather than inertia. This transforms mornings from chaotic to contemplative. Over time, the pause becomes more than habit. It becomes refuge. You begin to cherish those 3 minutes as your own, untouchable by the demands of the world. They remind you daily that presence is always available, that you are more than the noise. This sense of refuge strengthens resilience in the face of all distractions. The practice also awakens gratitude. In the quiet of those 3 minutes, you notice details easily missed. The weight of your breath, the warmth of the bed, the light in the room. These observations anchor you in appreciation before the day's challenges arrive. Gratitude, once planted early, tends to grow throughout the hours. This small act also carries ethical significance. The digital world thrives on your attention, turning it into commodity. By pausing, you reclaim attention as sacred. You refuse to let corporations and algorithms be the first to shape your mind each day. This is a quiet act of resistance, a declaration that your awareness belongs to you. Practically, you can strengthen the pause by restructuring your environment. Place your phone outside arm's reach so habit cannot take over. Replace it with a journal, a book of wisdom, or even an empty space. These adjustments make the pause more natural and less forced. The easier it is, the more consistent it becomes. The pause also enhances relationships. If the first moments of your day are consumed by screens, your presence for others is diluted. But if you begin with stillness, you meet loved ones with openness rather than distraction. This subtle shift can transform the tone of households, replacing hurried interactions with genuine connection. On a deeper level, the pause teaches impermanence. The itch to check the phone feels urgent, but if you sit with it, it fades. This reveals that cravings are not commands but passing states. Learning this in the morning carries into the rest of life. You begin to trust that urges, fears, and thoughts all arise and pass if not indulged. Over weeks and months, the pause reshapes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of digital chaos and start seeing yourself as one who can choose. This strengthens confidence and calm. You realize that a calm life is not about escaping the modern world, but about meeting it from a place of grounded awareness. So tomorrow, before your hand reaches for the screen, let it rest. Take 3 minutes for yourself. Breathe, reflect, notice. Guard the sanctity of your awareness before the world enters. These minutes are not lost, they are the foundation of your day. In them, you remember that life is rare, time is precious, and presence is yours to protect. From this small pause, an entire calm life unfolds. When the mind learns to pause before digital noise, there is space to hear something deeper, the quiet ache of being human. Even in moments of calm, suffering still appears. It comes as loneliness, doubt, fear, grief, or the weight of responsibilities. The natural impulse is to believe this struggle is uniquely yours, that others move through life lighter while you alone carry heaviness. But this is an illusion. Every being struggles. To whisper this truth to yourself each morning softens self-pity and opens the door to compassion. Suffering is universal, though its shapes vary. The parent worrying for a child, the worker fearing the loss of livelihood, the elder aching with illness, the student anxious about belonging, all are touched by the same thread of difficulty. To forget this is to shrink into isolation. To remember, it is to join the shared human experience. Buddhism names this dukkha, the inherent unsatisfactoriness of life. This is not meant to depress, but to unite. It says, "You are not alone in your pain." The power of remembering shared suffering lies in how it shifts perspective. When hardship feels uniquely yours, self-pity grows, and the heart hardens. But when you see that every being struggles, self-pity dissolves into empathy. Instead of asking, "Why me?" you begin to ask, "How can I respond wisely, knowing others also carry weight?" This shift transforms suffering from a private prison into a bridge of connection. Science supports this wisdom. Studies show that people who acknowledge common humanity in their struggles experience less shame and more resilience. Kristin Neff's research on self-compassion highlights that seeing suffering as shared reduces self-criticism and fosters kindness toward oneself and others. The simple phrase, "just like me," has been shown to soften anger, reduce stress, and increase empathy. Practical practice can begin each morning. As you wake and notice discomfort, perhaps fatigue, regret, or worry, pause and whisper, Every being struggles, just as I do. Let the words sink in. Feel the connection to millions rising with their own burdens. This reflection does not erase your pain, but it lightens it by placing it in the context of humanity. This practice also heals resentment. Often suffering feels sharper when compared to others' apparent ease. Social media and appearances feed the illusion that others are free from struggle. But remembering universality punctures this illusion. Behind every smile, there are hidden battles. Behind every success, there are unseen sacrifices. By remembering this, envy softens and compassion grows. From a Buddhist perspective, this recognition is the seed of karuna, compassion. Compassion arises not from pitying others, but from recognizing our shared condition. We all age, we all sicken, we all die. We all experience joy and loss. Remembering this awakens tenderness. It makes the heart gentler, less likely to lash out, more likely to extend patience. Practical exercises reinforce the habit. One is the just like me meditation. As you encounter others, silently reflect. This person struggles, just like me. They seek happiness, just like me. They fear loss, just like me. This practice, when begun in the morning, can transform how you interact throughout the day. Strangers become companions, not obstacles. Even those who anger you are seen as fellow sufferers. This awareness also changes how you treat yourself. Instead of isolating in shame, you treat yourself with the same compassion you would offer another. You say, "It is human to suffer. Others feel this too." This recognition prevents suffering from hardening into identity. You are not your pain. You are a being experiencing what all beings experience. The practice also deepens humility. When you see that suffering touches all, you no longer feel separate or special in your pain. This dissolves both arrogance and despair. You are neither uniquely cursed nor uniquely exempt. You are part of the shared flow of life. This truth humbles and equalizes. Compassion that arises from this reflection naturally extends beyond humans. Animals, too, suffer hunger, fear, illness. Ecosystems suffer from exploitation. To recognize shared struggle expands the circle of care to all beings. The phrase, "every being struggles," broadens compassion until it touches all forms of life. This practice is also practical in conflict. When someone speaks harshly or acts unjustly, it is easy to respond with anger. But remembering they also suffer changes the response. You see their action not as pure malice, but as an expression of their own pain. This does not excuse harm, but prevents you from adding more hatred. Instead, you respond with firmness and compassion together. In daily life, the practice prevents despair from isolating you. When grief comes, you remind yourself, countless others grieve this morning too. When anxiety rises, you recall, countless others wake with fear as well. This sharedness brings comfort. You may be suffering, but you are not alone. Humanity itself suffers with you. Over time, this practice reshapes identity. You stop seeing yourself as victim or as exception. You see yourself as human, deeply connected to all. This dissolves the loneliness that magnifies pain. You carry your struggles more lightly because they are not carried alone. So tomorrow, as you wake and feel the weight of being human, whisper softly, "Every being struggles, just as I do." Let those words dissolve self-pity and open compassion. In that remembrance, the heart widens, and suffering becomes not only bearable but transformative. From shared struggle arises shared tenderness, and from that tenderness, the calm life continues to unfold. When compassion is awakened through the remembrance that suffering is shared, the heart begins to loosen its grip on self-pity and isolation. Yet even with compassion alive, another challenge remains. the mind's endless craving for certainty. Each morning, thoughts begin racing ahead. What will happen today? Will I succeed? Will things go wrong? This thirst for control breeds anxiety, because the truth is simple and often resisted. You do not know what will unfold. To step into the day with peace, you must embrace this uncertainty, not as a flaw but as the very texture of life. Beginning the morning with the affirmation, "I do not know what will happen today, and that is okay," transforms fear into acceptance. It is not resignation but wisdom. The Buddha taught that clinging to permanence and predictability is a root of suffering. To cling is to fight the reality that life is fluid, unpredictable, and uncontrollable. But when you bow to this truth with radical acceptance, you find freedom. Anxiety loosens, resilience grows, and openness blooms. Uncertainty is not an exception, it is the rule. Every moment is unknowable before it arrives. You may plan carefully, but outcomes still shift beyond your control. A conversation may surprise, weather may change, health may fluctuate, opportunities may arise unexpectedly. The mind seeks to predict, but prediction is fragile. By beginning the day acknowledging uncertainty, you prepare yourself not with rigid armor, but with flexible strength. Neuroscience supports this approach. The brain craves prediction because it equates certainty with safety. When uncertainty is present, the amygdala, the brain's fear center, fires more strongly, producing anxiety. But mindfulness practices that embrace uncertainty calm this response, rewiring the brain to see unpredictability not as threat but as possibility. The morning affirmation acts as training, teaching the nervous system that it is safe not to know. This acceptance also nurtures creativity. Certainty confines you to old patterns. Uncertainty opens space for new ideas. Many discoveries, from scientific breakthroughs to works of art, arose not from rigid plans, but from openness to the unknown. By welcoming uncertainty, you align with creativity's source. The day becomes a canvas rather than a checklist. Practically, this practice begins the moment you wake. Instead of grasping at thoughts of control, pause and whisper, "I do not know what will happen today, and that is okay." Let the words settle in your body. Feel the tension of control soften. This ritual anchors you in humility and courage. You can reinforce the habit with journaling. Each morning, write one line. "Today is uncertain, and I welcome it." This simple act externalizes the truth, making it harder to forget. Over time, the page becomes a record of trust, evidence that you have survived countless unknowns before and will again. From a Buddhist view, this is aligning with impermanence. The teaching of Anicca reminds us that all conditioned things are in flux. By accepting uncertainty, you accept impermanence. You stop resisting the river's flow and instead learn to move with it. This is not passivity, it is wisdom. The swimmer who fights the current exhausts, while the one who flows with it travels further. This acceptance also strengthens resilience. Life inevitably brings surprises, loss, change, difficulty. The one who demands certainty shatters under them. The one who accepts uncertainty bends and recovers. By training each morning, you cultivate the resilience to meet the unpredictable with steadiness. You stop expecting life to conform to your plans and instead meet it as it is. Relationships also benefit. When you release the demand that others behave predictably, you allow them to be human. Instead of controlling, you listen. Instead of resenting change, you adapt. This creates relationships rooted in presence rather than control. The affirmation, "I do not know," extends beyond yourself to how you hold others. This practice can also dissolve fear of failure. Much anxiety about goals arises from uncertainty. Will I succeed or fail? By accepting not knowing, You free yourself to act without being paralyzed by outcomes. You focus on effort rather than guarantee. This allows deeper engagement and reduces fear. Spiritual traditions echo this truth. Mystics often speak of the cloud of unknowing, a space where control dissolves and presence deepens. Faith in many traditions is not certainty of outcome, but trust in walking without full knowledge. To embrace uncertainty is to live in alignment with this deeper wisdom. Practical variations enrich the practice. Some sit in silence each morning, repeating the affirmation with breath. Inhale, I do not know. Exhale, and that is okay. Others visualize placing their plans in an open bowl, holding them lightly instead of gripping tightly. These rituals remind the mind that uncertainty is not enemy but teacher. Science confirms benefits for health. Acceptance-based practices lower cortisol, improve immune function, and reduce chronic anxiety. People who accept uncertainty rather than fight it report greater well-being, better sleep, and improved focus. The nervous system relaxes when it no longer tries to control the uncontrollable. This practice also brings humility. To admit not knowing is to surrender arrogance. It opens space for curiosity and learning. The one who claims certainty cannot grow. The one who admits uncertainty learns daily. This humility is strength, not weakness. Over time, the affirmation reshapes your identity. You no longer define yourself as controller of outcomes, but as participant in unfolding mystery. This brings both peace and wonder. Life becomes less about securing guarantees and more about meeting what arises with openness. So tomorrow, as you rise, let your first words be, I do not know what will happen today, and that is okay. Carry them like a mantra. Let them soften anxiety, open creativity, deepen humility, and strengthen resilience. In embracing uncertainty, you step into the calm life not by controlling the world, but by trusting yourself to walk steadily through its unknowns. When the mind learns to rest in the acceptance of uncertainty, a quiet stability emerges. You no longer need to predict or control every outcome, and that freedom allows you to meet the day with openness. Yet there is another field where awareness must be carried: speech. Words flow constantly, shaping relationships, work, and even how you see yourself. They can build or destroy, heal or harm. Once released, they cannot be taken back. To begin the morning with a vow of gentle discipline over speech is to align every conversation with mindfulness. It is to decide that your words will serve as medicine, never as weapons. Speech is powerful precisely because it reaches beyond you. A thought may remain private, but once spoken, it enters the world, planting seeds in another's mind. Those seeds may grow into trust, hope, and clarity, or into fear, anger, and division. A single careless phrase can wound for years. A single kind word can restore strength in a moment. Recognizing this, the Buddha placed right speech at the heart of the Eightfold Path. Words are not casual, they are practice. To treat words as medicine is to ask before speaking, will these sounds heal or harm? Will they ease suffering or add to it? This does not mean avoiding truth or silencing yourself. Medicine can be gentle or strong, soothing or challenging, but it is always aimed at healing. Sometimes medicine tastes sweet, sometimes it stings. The measure is not comfort but compassion. Modern psychology confirms the weight of speech. Research shows that words of support and encouragement lower stress hormones, regulate heart rate, and strengthen immune function. Conversely, harsh words increase cortisol, inflame conflict, and damage long-term trust. The body listens to words as deeply as the mind. Your speech does not only affect others, it shapes your own physiology. Practical discipline begins with awareness. In the morning, pause and vow silently, today, May my words be medicine. This vow sets intention before conversations begin. It does not guarantee perfection, but it shifts your posture. You become more careful, more present, more willing to pause before responding. One useful practice is the pause of breath. Before speaking, take a single breath and ask, is this true? Is this kind? Is this necessary? This echoes the Buddha's teaching that right speech is truthful, beneficial, and timely. If the words do not pass this filter, silence becomes the medicine. Sometimes the best word is none at all. The discipline also involves tone. Words may be accurate but harsh in delivery, causing harm despite truth. To speak with gentleness is to carry truth without cruelty. Tone communicates as much as content. A soft voice can transform even difficult truths into medicine. This practice extends to how you speak to yourself. Inner speech is often harsher than anything said aloud. By vowing that your words will be medicine, you also vow to treat your own mind with kindness. Self-criticism poisons, self-encouragement heals. The vow is incomplete if it excludes the dialogue within. Daily life offers countless opportunities. In traffic, instead of cursing, you might choose silence. At work, instead of gossip, you might choose honesty or restraint. With loved ones, instead of irritation, you might choose patience. Each choice becomes training in discipline. Over time, the habit of mindful speech reshapes character itself. From a Buddhist lens, speech is karmic. Every word plants seeds that ripen later. A careless joke may sprout as mistrust, a sincere apology as reconciliation. To recognize this is to treat every utterance as sacred. The vow of mindful speech each morning acknowledges this karmic responsibility. This discipline also heals relationships. Misunderstandings and conflicts often grow not from actions, but from words poorly chosen. By practicing speech as medicine, you reduce unnecessary harm. Even when disagreements arise, they can be navigated without cruelty. Compassionate speech does not avoid conflict but transforms it. Science also shows that communication patterns predict relationship longevity. Couples, families, and teams who practice kind and honest speech thrive. Those who practice contempt and criticism deteriorate. Words build or erode the very fabric of connection. Beginning each day with intention aligns you with building. Practical exercises can anchor the vow. Write the words are medicine, on a note and place it where you will see it in the morning. Before speaking to anyone, silently repeat your vow. At the end of the day, reflect, did my words heal or harm today? Reflection strengthens discipline and highlights growth. This practice also requires courage. Silence can be easier than speaking truthfully, and bluntness can be easier than speaking kindly. The discipline of mindful speech demands both honesty and compassion together. It asks you to navigate the middle path where truth and love meet. This is not weakness, it is strength refined. Over time, speech as medicine changes how others perceive you. People begin to trust your words, knowing they will not be carelessly harmful. Your presence itself becomes calming, because people sense safety in your communication. This trust becomes one of the greatest gifts you can offer. The vow also extends beyond spoken words, to written ones, texts, emails, posts. The same questions apply. Is this true, kind, necessary, and timely? The digital world magnifies speech, spreading it faster and further. The responsibility therefore increases. Each message is a ripple across many lives. Philosophically, this practice reveals the emptiness of separation. When your words heal another, you also heal yourself, because you are bound together. When your words harm another, you wound yourself as well. Speech demonstrates interbeing in action. The discipline of speech is not about morality imposed from outside, but about harmony recognized within. So tomorrow, when you wake and accept uncertainty, add this vow. Today my words will be medicine, not weapons. Carry it into every conversation with others, with yourself, with the world. Let your speech heal, soothe, encourage, and guide. In this gentle discipline lies the power to turn ordinary interactions into sacred practice and to continue weaving the calm life with every word spoken. When words are guided with the vow to heal rather than harm, life takes on a softer quality. Conversations become more mindful, relationships more stable, and the mind itself more peaceful. Yet speech is only one stream of daily living. The quiet, repetitive actions that fill the day, washing dishes, folding clothes, brushing teeth, boiling water, often slip by unnoticed. They seem trivial, interruptions between important tasks. But this view overlooks a profound truth. The ordinary is the very place where awakening hides. To turn mundane chores into sacred rituals is to discover meditation woven into the fabric of daily life. Every act, no matter how small, carries potential for presence. The toothbrush moving across teeth, the kettle humming before it boils, the slow tying of shoelaces, these are not empty gestures. They are invitations to return to the moment. The Buddha taught that mindfulness is not confined to sitting cross-legged in silence. It can be practiced in every activity. When you infuse ordinary tasks with awareness, they shift from burdens to blessings, from chores to rituals. This shift requires no elaborate ceremonies. It begins with intention. To brush your teeth as meditation is to feel each motion fully. The texture of bristles, the taste of paste, the rhythm of breath. To boil water as ritual is to hear the gradual rise of bubbles, to feel the anticipation of warmth, to notice gratitude for something as simple as clean water. To tie shoes with presence is to honor the hands that move, the fabric that supports, the body that will walk. These acts become prayers without words. Modern psychology affirms this transformation. Studies in mindfulness show that attention to routine tasks lowers stress, reduces rumination, and increases satisfaction. When the mind is present, even the simplest activities generate calm. This is because mindfulness interrupts autopilot, breaking cycles of worry and distraction. Each ordinary act becomes grounding, anchoring the mind in now. To turn chores into rituals is also to resist cultural conditioning. Society often glorifies achievement while dismissing maintenance. Cooking, cleaning, or tending to the body are treated as lesser, as though real life exists only in extraordinary moments. But without maintenance, no extraordinary moment could occur. When you honor chores as sacred, you restore dignity to the foundation of life itself. Practical methods help anchor this view. Choose one daily task and dedicate it as practice. For example, each time you wash dishes, attend fully. Feel the water's temperature, the weight of each dish, the movement of hands. When the mind drifts, gently return. Over time, the sink becomes a meditation hall, the act of washing a ritual of purification, not just of plates but of thoughts. The same can be done with dressing. Instead of rushing, notice the fabric against skin, the way it protects and warms. Acknowledge the countless lives behind the garment: farmers, weavers, tailors. Dressing becomes gratitude practice, transforming vanity into reverence. Even sweeping or vacuuming can be sacred. Each stroke clears not only dust but mental clutter. In Zen monasteries, sweeping is revered as meditation in action. The floor becomes the mind, and each movement a gesture of clarity. Bringing this to daily life means every room cleaned is a reflection of inner care. This practice also heals resentment toward chores. Many view them as interruptions or burdens, but when infused with mindfulness, they become opportunities for peace. Instead of waiting for chores to be done so life can resume, Life is lived through the chores themselves. Folding laundry becomes folding presents. Cooking becomes cooking, mindfulness. Philosophically, this aligns with non-duality. Sacred and mundane are not separate, they are perspectives. When awareness is absent, even sacred rituals become hollow. When awareness is present, even tying shoes becomes holy. This dissolves the illusion that spirituality requires escape from daily life. It is already here, in toothpaste and teacups. Practical exercises expand this further. Begin each chore with a small bow, inward or outward, acknowledging the task as practice. While brushing teeth, repeat silently, "I care for this body with gratitude." While boiling water, whisper, "May this water bring warmth and clarity." While tying shoes, reflect, "May these feet walk paths of kindness today." These intentions transform routine into prayerful ritual. Science supports the calming effects of such rituals. Research on ritualized behavior shows that even simple, repeated actions reduce anxiety by giving the mind structure and meaning. When mindfulness is added, the effect deepens, anchoring the nervous system in safety and stability. This practice also fosters humility. Chores remind you that life is sustained by small acts, not grand gestures. No matter how powerful or successful, everyone must eat, clean, and tend to the body. To honor these acts as sacred is to embrace equality. Greatness is not above chores, it is found within them. Relationships also benefit. When chores are shared mindfully, they become opportunities for connection rather than conflict. Cooking together with awareness transforms meals into communion. Cleaning together becomes teamwork, dissolving resentment. Even small acts of service, washing a cup for another, preparing tea, become silent expressions of love. Turning chores into rituals also deepens gratitude for resources. As you use water, reflect on its source, the rivers and rains that made it possible. As you cook rice, acknowledge the farmers and earth that nourished it. This awareness prevents waste and cultivates responsibility. Consumption shifts into communion. Over time, this practice reshapes your sense of life's value. Extraordinary moments no longer define meaning. Ordinary ones do. You stop chasing rare highlights and begin cherishing daily rhythms. Life becomes fuller, not because circumstances change, but because attention does. So tomorrow, when you wake and move into routine, pause. Do not dismiss the brushing of teeth, the boiling of water, the tying of shoes. Let them be your meditation, your ritual, your doorway into presence. Each act, when done with awareness, becomes sacred. And in honoring the ordinary, you discover that the calm life is not hidden in distant mountains, but alive in every movement of your day. When the ordinary actions of life are treated as sacred, the heart begins to notice details that once went unseen. Washing, sweeping, or boiling water stops being an annoyance and becomes a reminder of connection and presence. From this shift, another truth rises quietly. Much of what you take for granted each day are freedoms that countless others do not have. To walk across a room without pain, to drink clean water without fear, to choose what clothes to wear, to breathe easily, these are liberties so ordinary that they often pass unnoticed, yet they are treasures. To remember these small freedoms each morning is to awaken gratitude that deepens the calm life. Gratitude for small freedoms does not mean ignoring suffering or pretending life is perfect. It means recognizing that even in difficulty, there are liberties supporting you. Millions cannot move without help, cannot vote freely, cannot speak their mind, cannot breathe clean air. When you awaken to your own freedoms, no matter how simple, you replace entitlement with humility. This practice begins with awareness. Each morning, before demands rise, pause and list silently the freedoms present now. The ability to stretch your arms, to step outside, to drink water, to choose what to eat, to decide how to spend your time. These freedoms may appear small compared to wealth or status, but they are the foundation of dignity. When remembered, they fill the heart with quiet appreciation. Buddhist teachings emphasize the preciousness of conditions. The rare chance of human life is not only about birth but about circumstances that allow practice. If you have time to reflect, freedom from extreme oppression, and health enough to be aware, you already hold conditions that countless beings lack. Gratitude for these conditions fuels urgency to use them well, rather than wasting them in complaint or distraction. Science also supports this. Studies show that gratitude practices, even for small things, reduce stress, increase optimism, and improve physical health. Gratitude rewires the brain to notice abundance rather than lack. By focusing on freedoms, you train the mind to see life as gift, not deficit. This shift influences mood and resilience across the day. Practical exercises deepen the habit. Each morning, choose one freedom to honor. As you take your first steps, reflect. Many cannot walk today. As you drink water, acknowledge. Many thirst without clean supply. As you breathe deeply, whisper, many struggle for air. This is not meant to create guilt but reverence. It is to remind you of the silent wealth you already carry. Gratitude for small freedoms also shifts how you treat others. When you recognize your liberties, compassion arises for those without them. Instead of judgment, you feel responsibility. Gratitude becomes fuel for service, inspiring you to use your freedoms, not selfishly but in ways that benefit others. This transforms gratitude from private feeling into collective care. Philosophically, this practice dismantles the illusion of scarcity. Many chase more, believing life is lacking. But when you notice freedoms, mobility, choice, breath, you see abundance already here. Scarcity is revealed as perception, not reality. Gratitude for freedoms reveals richness hidden in plain sight. Even hardship can be reframed this way. If illness limits you, you can still notice freedoms that remain. The ability to think, to love, to breathe. Gratitude does not deny suffering but broadens the view so suffering does not consume the whole. This balanced view fosters resilience. Practical rituals help anchor this. Keep a small notebook by your bed. Each morning, write down 3 freedoms you notice. Over time, patterns emerge and gratitude deepens. Another method is to dedicate a gesture, placing a hand on your chest, bowing slightly as you acknowledge freedom. Linking gratitude to physical action strengthens memory. This practice also reduces envy. When you are rooted in gratitude for freedoms, others' possessions or status lose power to disturb you. You see clearly. True wealth lies in liberties that sustain life. What use is gold without breath, status without freedom of choice? Gratitude reorients values away from illusion and toward essence. From a Buddhist view, gratitude for freedoms also nurtures compassion for future generations. The air you breathe today, the water you drink, the liberties you enjoy are not guaranteed tomorrow. Gratitude motivates stewardship. You begin to protect freedoms for others, knowing they are not permanent but fragile gifts. Over time, this practice transforms identity. You stop defining yourself by what is missing and start defining yourself by what is present. This brings lightness and humility. You no longer move through the day entitled but reverent. Each act, walking, choosing, breathing, becomes a silent celebration of freedom. So tomorrow, when you wake, pause. Before rushing into tasks, reflect on the unnoticed liberties already holding you. Whisper inwardly, I have freedoms that many do not. May I honor them today. Let this awareness deepen gratitude, soften entitlement, and ignite compassion. In cherishing small freedoms, you discover that the calm life is not built on extraordinary wealth, but on the quiet riches of everyday liberty. When gratitude for small freedoms takes root, the heart naturally turns toward responsibility. To notice that you can walk, breathe, and choose is to realize that what you do with these liberties matters not only for today, but for the person you are becoming. Every choice plants seeds in time. Each word spoken, each bite of food, each habit repeated, writes a line in the story of your life. The one who will live with the consequences is not some stranger, it is your future self. To greet that self each morning with kindness, whispering, "May I not harm you with today's actions," is to make friendship across time. This perspective changes how decisions are made. Often, the pull of the present moment overrides consideration of tomorrow. Comfort is chosen over discipline, distraction over presence, indulgence over care. But when you view your future self not as an abstract concept but as someone real, someone waiting for the results of your choices, compassion grows. You stop treating the future as a dumping ground for neglected responsibility and begin treating it as a friend deserving of care. The Buddha often emphasized cause and effect, karma as the natural unfolding of actions. Every deed has results, every choice carries weight. To befriend the future self is to live with awareness of this law, not as fear, but as kindness. It is saying, "I will act in ways that leave you lighter, stronger, freer." This is compassion extended not outward or inward, but forward, across the unfolding of your own life. Science supports this as well. Behavioral research shows that when people vividly imagine their future selves, they make healthier choices, save more money, and engage in less harmful behavior. MRI studies reveal that when people fail to connect with their future selves, the brain treats that self like a stranger. But when connection is cultivated, empathy grows. Befriending the future self is, therefore, not abstract, it is neurological. Practical methods make this connection tangible. Each morning, take a moment of silence and picture yourself tomorrow, or next week, or years ahead. Whisper inwardly, "May my choices today support you." Then act with this vow in mind. When facing temptation to act carelessly, recall the image of that future self and ask, "Will this harm them or help them?" This simple question reframes the decision, grounding it in compassion. The practice extends to small acts. Eating mindfully becomes care for the body of tomorrow. Resting adequately becomes a gift for the mind of tomorrow. Speaking kindly becomes protection for relationships tomorrow. Discipline stops being punishment and becomes friendship across time. This perspective also heals regret. Many carry guilt for past choices that harmed the present self. But by befriending the future self, you shift focus from regret to responsibility. You cannot rewrite yesterday, but you can act today in ways that ease tomorrow. This shift empowers rather than paralyzes. Philosophically, this practice reveals the illusion of separation between present and future. Time flows, but the self who lives tomorrow is born from today's actions. By caring now, you care then. By neglecting now, you harm then. Recognizing this dissolves apathy and awakens stewardship. Compassion deepens as well. Once you learn to extend kindness to your own future, you naturally extend it to the futures of others. You begin to ask, how will my choices affect their tomorrow? This widens responsibility to family, community, and even the planet. Befriending the future self ripples outward into befriending future generations. Practical exercises reinforce the habit. Write a brief letter to your future self each morning. One sentence of encouragement, one vow of care. Over weeks, reading these notes strengthens the bond across time. Another method is visualization. Before a decision, close your eyes and picture your future self receiving its results. Let compassion guide the choice. This practice also reshapes ambition. Goals are no longer about distant achievement, but about daily care. Instead of obsessing over where you will be in 10 years, you focus on what will leave tomorrow lighter. The future becomes less about fantasy and more about friendship. Science again supports this. Studies in self-regulation show that people who develop empathy for their future selves experience less procrastination and more persistence. By seeing the self of tomorrow as worthy of kindness, they align their actions with long-term well-being. Over time, this practice changes identity. You no longer see yourself as fragmented across time, but as continuous. The present self becomes guardian, the future self becomes companion. This continuity brings integrity, because your choices are aligned not only with now, but with what is to come. So tomorrow morning, when you rise and honor the freedoms you carry, take one step further. Whisper inwardly, "May I not harm you with today's actions?" Picture the self who will wake tomorrow, who will live with the echoes of today. Treat them as a friend, deserving of care. From this vow, decisions soften, discipline becomes compassion, and life itself becomes a gift shared across time. When kindness is extended to the self you will meet tomorrow, the present moment grows steadier. You begin to see that life is not only about chasing accomplishments, but also about protecting your own well-being across time. Yet even as this wisdom settles, another pressure often arises: the constant demand to prove, to perform, to stand out. The world whispers endlessly, "Be exceptional, achieve more, impress others." This whisper becomes a burden that crushes calm. The antidote is found in a quieter truth, the courage to be ordinary. To wake each morning and reflect, "I do not need to prove anything today. I can simply be," is to reclaim peace from the grip of performance. Ordinariness is not failure, it is freedom. It is the release of the weight that comes from endless comparison and striving. The Buddha himself lived simply, walking barefoot, begging for alms, sitting in silence. His greatness was not in worldly success, but in ordinary presence. To embrace ordinariness is to align with this simplicity, to remember that value is not in how loudly you shine, but in how deeply you live. Modern society amplifies the fear of being ordinary. Images of achievement, flood screens, daily promotions, perfect bodies, exotic travels. The mind absorbs these signals and concludes, "Who I am is not enough." But this belief breeds exhaustion. The courage to be ordinary cuts through illusion. It affirms that your worth is not tied to performance or appearance, but to the simple fact of being alive. Psychology supports this. Studies show that people who measure self-worth by external validation suffer more anxiety and depression. Conversely, those who embrace intrinsic value, being enough without proof, experience greater well-being and resilience. Ordinary does not mean dull, it means unburdened. It is choosing authenticity over performance. Practically, this reflection begins each morning. As you wake, whisper inwardly, "Today I release the need to impress." Let the words sink in. Feel the body relax as the pressure to perform loosens. You are not on trial. You are alive, and that is enough. This practice transforms daily tasks. Drinking tea, walking to work, greeting a neighbor, these cease to feel like empty filler between achievements. They become life itself. By honoring the ordinary, you stop waiting for extraordinary moments to justify your existence. The ordinary becomes extraordinary through presence. Philosophically, this practice dismantles ego. Ego thrives on being special, different, above. But the calm life is found in connection, not separation. To accept ordinariness is to embrace equality. You breathe the same air, walk the same ground, share the same fragility as all beings. This humility opens the heart. Ordinariness also nurtures relationships. When you stop performing, you show up authentically. Others feel safe in your presence because they are not being measured or impressed, but met as they are. This deepens intimacy. The courage to be ordinary is also the courage to be real. Practical exercises reinforce the reflection. Begin the morning by recalling one simple act you will do today: washing dishes, tying shoes, walking outside, and vow to treat it as enough. Another practice is to reflect, if no one saw or praised me today, would my life still hold value? The answer, when rooted in truth, is always yes. This perspective also reduces envy. When you no longer need to be exceptional, others' success stops threatening you. You can celebrate them without resentment. Freedom grows because your worth is no longer at stake in comparison. From a Buddhist view, ordinariness is aligned with the middle way, avoiding extremes of self-denial and self-exaltation. It is balance. It is the quiet dignity of being fully human, neither inflated nor diminished. Science too points here. Research on mindfulness shows that presence in ordinary activities increases satisfaction and meaning. People report more joy folding laundry mindfully than rushing through vacations distracted. Meaning is not in scale but in attention. Over time, the courage to be ordinary reshapes identity. You no longer define yourself by performance but by presence. This brings deep relief. You stop striving to become extraordinary and begin resting in the truth that you are already enough. So tomorrow, when you wake and greet your future self with kindness, take one more step. Whisper softly, "Today I do not need to prove myself. May I have the courage to be ordinary." In that reflection, the burden of performance dissolves, and the day opens wide, not as a stage for achievement, but as a space for being fully alive. When the weight of performance is lifted, and you find the courage to rest in ordinariness, the heart grows quieter. Yet even in this quiet, the tendency to circle back to the self remains strong. Thoughts revolve around my body, my needs, my tasks, my worries. The calm life, however, is not meant to stop at self-acceptance. It widens into connection. One way to expand beyond self-centeredness each morning is through a simple yet profound practice: the compassion test. Upon waking, reflect that countless others across the world are also opening their eyes, meeting their own fears, hopes, and struggles. This practice shifts perspective instantly. The moment you realize you are not the only one rising into uncertainty, your suffering feels less isolating. The awareness that billions are waking at the same time brings humility and tenderness. Somewhere, a child is rising with joy. Elsewhere, someone wakes to illness, to grief, to hunger, or to love. Life unfolds everywhere, and by recognizing this, you step into the truth of shared humanity. Buddhist teachings speak often of boundless compassion, karuna that extends without boundary, like sunlight. The compassion test is a doorway into this boundlessness. It asks you to see others as not separate, but as companions in the human journey. Their fears echo yours, their joys mirror yours, their fragility matches yours. To visualize this each morning is to soften the ego's grip and awaken empathy. Science affirms the power of such perspective-taking. Studies show that when people practice imagining others' experiences, empathy circuits in the brain strengthen. Compassion meditation reduces bias, increases patience, and even shifts behavior toward generosity. The compassion test, though simple, is grounded in both ancient wisdom and modern evidence. Practically, the practice begins as you wake. Before rushing into tasks, close your eyes and reflect. Just as I am waking, so are millions of others. Picture briefly the wide spectrum: of lives, workers rising before dawn, parents tending children, elders stirring slowly, those in hospitals, those in prisons, those in comfort, those in struggle. Whisper silently, may they find ease, just as I seek ease. This visualization is not about pity, but about connection. It is not to think they suffer more than me, or I am luckier. It is to see that we are all woven into the same fabric of being. Everyone carries a mix of hope and fear, joy and sorrow. Remembering this breaks the illusion of separateness. The practice also changes how you meet your own struggles. When you feel pain, you recall, countless others feel this too. Your suffering becomes less isolating, more bearable. You carry it as part of humanity's shared weight, not as a solitary burden. This perspective is deeply healing. Extending the compassion test to daily life is powerful. On the way to work, reflect that everyone around you woke with their own unseen struggles. The stranger in traffic may carry grief. The colleague may battle anxiety. The neighbor may feel lonely. Remembering this softens irritation and replaces it with patience. From a Buddhist lens, this practice aligns with the teaching of metta, loving kindness. Metta begins with oneself, but must expand outward to all beings. The compassion test is an entry point into this expansion, a reminder that your morning does not belong only to you, but to the world. Practical exercises help anchor it. Keep a note by your bed. Others are waking too. Read it as the day begins, or spend 1 minute visualizing someone you know waking, then a stranger, then all beings. Whisper silently, may they be safe, may they be peaceful, may they be free from suffering. Over time, this habit expands your natural compassion. Science again shows benefits. Compassion practices increase vagal tone, linked to calm and resilience. They also reduce inflammation and improve emotional regulation. Compassion is not only moral, it is physiological medicine. The compassion test in the morning sets the body's systems toward balance. This practice also transforms relationships. When you start each day remembering others' humanity, you carry less judgment. You become more forgiving of mistakes, more patient with delays, more open to connection. Others feel safer around you because they sense your empathy. Compassion changes not only your inner life, but your outer interactions. Philosophically, the compassion test dissolves the illusion of a separate self. To see others waking with struggles mirrors your own existence. Self and other blur. You realize their suffering is not apart from mine, their joy not apart from mine. This deepens the understanding of interbeing. Over time, this practice becomes more than morning reflection, it becomes identity. You stop seeing yourself as an isolated individual and start seeing yourself as part of a vast community of beings, all rising and falling together. This brings humility, tenderness, and a natural desire to live gently. So tomorrow, when you wake and reflect on your own ordinariness, take one more step. Whisper softly, every being is waking too, with their own fears and hopes. May they be well. Let this compassion widen your heart and guide your day. In that widening, the calm life is no longer just about you, it becomes about all of us, living and struggling together. When compassion extends outward, and you begin to see countless others rising with their own burdens, the heart softens. Yet even in this tenderness, another pressure often pulls you away from peace, the invisible timelines you set for yourself. The voice that whispers you should already be further ahead, that you are late, that life is slipping by too quickly. These inner deadlines create a constant rush, turning even peaceful mornings into races against time. To live a calm life, you must release this illusion. Begin the day by reminding yourself, there is no race, only steps. The grip of inner deadlines is heavy because it is rarely questioned. From early life, society teaches you to measure progress against clocks and calendars, graduate by a certain age, marry by another, achieve certain goals before it's too late. These expectations burrow into the mind and become self-imposed prisons. You may wake with anxiety, not because danger is present, but because you fear you are behind. To let go of these imagined timelines is to step out of the prison and into freedom. The Buddha often taught that clinging to becoming is a source of suffering, the craving to arrive somewhere better, more accomplished, more secure, keeps the mind restless. When you pause and affirm, there is no race, only steps, you loosen this craving. You accept life as unfolding, not as a competition. This softens urgency and replaces it with presence. Science also sheds light on this. Studies show that time pressure increases cortisol and weakens decision-making. When people feel rushed, they act reactively, often with less wisdom. But when the mind is not under imagined deadlines, clarity and creativity increase. By reminding yourself that life is steps, not race, you give the nervous system space to function at its best. Practical reflection each morning is key. As you wake, notice if the mind is already rushing. Perhaps thoughts of being late or not achieving enough appear. Pause and whisper, "I am not behind." There is no race. Life is steps, and this step is enough. Let the words settle in the body. Notice the shoulders relax, the breath slow. This affirmation realigns you with reality. This practice also reshapes goals. Goals are not abandoned, but their grip softens. You still move forward, but without urgency that poisons the journey. When you let go of inner deadlines, progress becomes exploration, not desperation. You allow yourself to grow at the pace of life, not at the pace of comparison. Practical exercises help. Write down one goal you feel pressured by. Next to it, write, "I release the deadline. I will walk step by step." Each time the anxiety arises, return to this note. Another practice is mindful walking in the morning, taking slow steps and repeating inwardly, "There is no race, only steps." The body teaches the mind what the words mean. Philosophically, this practice challenges the illusion of control. Deadlines create the false sense that you can dictate the pace of life. But much is beyond your control. Health, opportunities, encounters, endings. To let go of deadlines is to accept reality. Life unfolds as it will. You can walk steadily, but you cannot force arrival. Compassion grows here as well. When you release your own inner deadlines, you stop judging others for theirs. You no longer measure people against artificial clocks who married when, who succeeded earlier, who advanced faster. Instead, you honor each journey as unique. This dissolves envy and softens judgment. From a Buddhist perspective, this is right effort. Effort guided by compassion and wisdom, not by pressure and craving. Right effort moves steadily, patiently, without burning the mind with urgency. By aligning with this, you live in balance. Over time, letting go of inner deadlines transforms daily life. Meals are no longer rushed, conversations no longer half-heard, mornings no longer wasted in anxiety. Each step feels sufficient because you no longer measure it against an imagined finish line. Life becomes lighter because the race was always illusion. So tomorrow morning, when you wake and recall the struggles shared by others, take one more step. Whisper to yourself, "There is no race, only steps." May I walk gently today. Let this reflection dissolve urgency and replace it with presence. In doing so, you reclaim your life from the tyranny of time and step fully into the calm life where every moment is enough. When the weight of inner deadlines loosens and you remember that life is only steps, not a race, a deeper question often arises. If there is no finish line, How do I know where I am going? The mind longs for maps, for certainty, for a clear picture of what the journey should look like. Yet life rarely offers such clarity. Plans shift, directions change, and what once seemed certain dissolves overnight. The path is walked not with a map in hand, but with trust in each step. To wake each morning and affirm, even without knowing the full journey, I can take one mindful step, is to live with faith in the unfolding. Trusting the path without knowing the map is not blind naivety. It is an act of courage rooted in presence. The Buddha often emphasized that the path is revealed by walking. Insight arises not by waiting for perfect clarity, but by living attentively. Each step, when taken with mindfulness, creates the conditions for the next. The map forms under your feet as you move. The craving for certainty is strong because the unknown feels threatening. Neuroscience shows that uncertainty activates the brain's fear centers, producing anxiety. The mind seeks control, constructing plans and predictions to feel secure. But the truth remains, no one has the full map. Illness, loss, chance encounters, and shifts in circumstance redraw life constantly. To cling to maps that do not exist is to suffer. To trust the path instead is to release fear and live with openness. Practical reflection can anchor this trust. Each morning, pause and whisper inwardly, I do not need the whole map. One step is enough. Then direct your attention to the first act of the day, rising from bed, stretching, drinking water. Do it mindfully, as if laying the first stone of a road. This ritual teaches the body and mind that clarity grows from movement, not from endless planning. This practice does not mean rejecting goals. It means holding them lightly. You can set intentions, but you do not cling to fixed routes. You allow detours, trust redirections, and adapt when conditions change. This flexibility is resilience. Life bends, so must you. Philosophically, trusting the path aligns with the Buddhist teaching of dependent origination. Conditions give rise to the next conditions. The path unfolds through interconnection, not through rigid maps. To trust this law is to walk with humility, knowing you cannot control all factors but can meet them wisely. This perspective also nurtures patience. Without a map, you are not rushing to a destination, you are attending to the journey. Each step becomes meaningful because it is the only one available. By honoring it fully, you discover that the path itself is the purpose, not the imagined end. Practical exercises deepen this trust. One is mindful journaling. Each morning, write one intention for the day, not a complete plan. At night, reflect on how the day unfolded differently from expectation. Over time, you see that unpredictability carries its own wisdom. Another is walking meditation. Take 10 slow steps, focusing only on the movement of each foot. This practice embodies the truth that one step is enough. Trusting the path also transforms fear of failure. Without a map, there is no fixed destination to miss. Each choice becomes exploration, not test. This dissolves pressure and opens creativity. You try, you learn, you adjust. Each outcome becomes part of the path. Science again supports this. Studies on uncertainty tolerance show that people who accept ambiguity experience less stress and greater adaptability. Trust in process, rather than obsession with outcome, strengthens mental health. The affirmation each morning, one step is enough, rewires the brain to relax in uncertainty. Relationships also shift. When you release the demand for others to fit your map, you allow them to walk their own paths. You meet them with curiosity instead of control. This deepens compassion and reduces conflict. Each person's journey is unique, and trust honors that truth. This practice also heals regret. Looking back, the mind often says, "I should have known, I should have planned better." But the reality is you did not have the map then, and you do not have it now. Trusting the path means forgiving yourself for not knowing. You could only take the step available at the time. That step was enough to bring you here. Over time, trusting without the map reshapes identity. You no longer see yourself as the architect of a perfect plan, but as a traveler guided by presence and trust. This brings humility and strength. You carry less anxiety because you no longer demand certainty. You carry more peace because you accept life's unfolding. So tomorrow morning, when you wake and feel the urge to predict or control the entire day, pause, whisper softly, "I can trust the path without knowing the map." May this step be enough. Let this affirmation guide you into the day. In that trust, anxiety softens, presence deepens, and the calm life reveals itself one step at a time. When you learn to trust the path without demanding the entire map, life becomes lighter. You begin to walk without the weight of needing to know every turn. Yet even with this freedom, there is often another burden carried quietly: the belief that past mistakes define today. The mind replays failures, regrets, or missed chances, whispering that you cannot move forward until you fix what is behind you. This is the voice that traps you in yesterday's story. The antidote is found in a simple yet profound affirmation. No matter what happened yesterday, today I can begin anew. The joy of beginning again is not about erasing the past, but about releasing its hold. Every sunrise brings a reset, a chance to step into the present without the chains of old patterns. To wake with this awareness is to claim your life back from regret. You recognize that growth is not linear but cyclical like seasons. You are allowed to start over, again and again. Buddhism calls this beginner's mind, the state of openness and curiosity that sees each moment as fresh. The Buddha himself taught that clinging to what is past is suffering. To begin anew is to practice non-attachment, to let the river of life flow instead of damming it with memory. Each morning offers an invitation. Drop what is finished, carry forward only the wisdom, and meet the day as if it is your first. This practice heals shame. Shame thrives on permanence. It convinces you that your worst action is your essence. But when you affirm beginning again, you dismantle that lie. You see clearly. Mistakes were events, not identity. They can inform but do not define. Beginning again is self-compassion in action, an acknowledgement that you are worthy of renewal. Science supports this possibility. Studies in neuroplasticity show that the brain rewires continuously. Old habits can fade, new pathways can form. Beginning again is not only spiritual, it is biological. Each day truly offers the chance to think differently, to act differently, to live differently. Practical reflection anchors this truth. Upon waking, whisper, "Yesterday is complete. Today is new." Breathe deeply, letting the exhale carry the residue of the past. Feel the body relax as the mind releases its grip. In this simple ritual, you reclaim today as your own. Daily rituals reinforce the practice. Take a shower as though washing off yesterday, or open a window to let in new air as symbol of new beginning. These physical acts give form to the inner vow. Over time, the body associates mornings with cleansing and renewal, making it easier to let go. This practice also reshapes relationships. Often conflict persists because old words and wounds are carried forward. But when you commit to beginning again, you approach loved ones as if meeting them anew. This does not erase accountability but invites reconciliation. Each day becomes an opportunity to forgive, to listen freshly, to love again. Philosophically, the joy of beginning again reveals impermanence as blessing. What is painful fades. What is broken can heal. What is lost can lead to new paths. To begin anew is to embrace impermanence, not as threat, but as hope. If nothing is fixed, everything can change. This reflection also fuels resilience. Life inevitably brings failures and disappointments. Without the ability to begin again, these would crush the spirit. With it, they become stepping stones. Beginning again transforms failure into feedback, regret into wisdom, endings into doorways. Practical exercises help deepen the habit. Keep a journal titled New Beginnings. Each morning, write one sentence. Today, I start fresh. Note what you release and what you choose to carry forward. Over weeks, you will see patterns of renewal, proof that you have begun again countless times and can continue to do so. From a Buddhist view, each breath is beginning again. Inhaling, you begin. Exhaling, you release. Meditation itself is constant renewal. Each time the mind wanders, you return. There is no failure, only beginning again. To carry this attitude into mornings is to live meditation in daily life. This practice also nurtures joy. Renewal carries lightness, the relief of not being chained to the past. Joy arises not from perfection but from possibility. Beginning again is permission to play, to explore, to rediscover. It opens the heart to wonder. Over time, this perspective reshapes identity. You no longer see yourself as stuck but as fluid, capable of renewal. You stop defining yourself by history and start defining yourself by presence. This shift is liberation. So tomorrow, when you wake, do not let yesterday's shadows dictate your light. Whisper softly, no matter what happened yesterday, today I can begin anew. Let this truth fill you with relief, courage, and joy. For in each dawn lies rebirth, and in rebirth lies the calm life renewed endlessly, step by step. Every morning is an unrepeatable chance. The breath that greets you at dawn, the reminder that you already have enough, the release of yesterday's weight, the acceptance that everything changes, and the humble gratitude of simply waking all of it is the foundation of a calm life. These are not lofty ideas reserved for monks on mountaintops. They are simple truths waiting at the edge of your bed each day. When you begin your mornings with these 5 reflections, you step into the world lighter, clearer, and more compassionate. You carry not just routine, but wisdom. So now, it's your turn. Which of these 5 morning practices spoke to you the most? Was it the power of the first breath, the freedom of letting go, or the peace of impermanence? Share it in the comments. I'd love to know how you'll begin tomorrow differently. And if this wisdom brought value to your day, don't forget to subscribe. Each week we explore teachings that make life calmer, stronger, and more meaningful, one mindful step at a time. Start your day with us, and together let's keep building a life of clarity and calm.